Gloat a little bit about last night's victory. We say, sure, yes, Tom Perez.
Of course. Hashtag
DNC MKE 2020.
Thank you.
And
just for the record, the brain's going to work a little slow today. Slower.
How will we know the difference? Calling him Badger Tom Perez. He'll be along at 4:30. Another great friend, Scot Ross, Executive Director, One Wisconsin Now. He's going to, go inside the numbers, break down this race, tell us, perhaps, what is important to know.
Scott he pays so much attention. He's been paying attention to this race, these races for a long, long time. And he's going to lend us his unique insight.
And we've also got WRD Resistance Radio's own Earl Ingram Jr. coming along in the happy hour. Earl will join us. We're going to talk MLK, Martin Luther King Jr., 50 years later. Earl, at 5:30 today, what a stellar lineup.
We figure, hell, if we got to do this show, we may as well bring as many friends as we can to help out a little bit. It's been a long night.
What I say at the party last night, we were watching the returns come in. We were here on Brady Street, went over to the Good Company Brewery where the party was happening, the Dallet victory party. But at this point, we just suspected it might get there. I mean, we saw it. It was great to see the blue candidate, the Dem. I know it was a nonpartisan race, but it was great to see the Democrat in the lead on the scoreboard. And then it got bigger and bigger. And I said, man, we got to get over there. This thing's going to get called because we were watching the electoral returns come in. And specifically, like Waukesha County, 90% in. Ozaukee County was like 90% in, only a 17-point margin at that time, I thought.
Yeah, that was right in the beginning.
And I'm thinking, oh, my God.
Because Scrannock's
already got the benefit of these two big red counties.
And he doesn't have a big lead at that time.
You know what? He did carry Washington County by like 40.
Come on, Washington County.
I know. What the hell's wrong with them? But I'd like to think I helped suppress the vote in Waukesha County if I could do my little part. I did my little part, right? This radio station, literally a middle finger right in the middle of Waukesha County.
Well, there's lots of Democrats and progressives in Waukesha County. I would like to think that perhaps some of those independents may have tuned in, may have heard what we have to say, what our guests have to say, may have heard, alternative facts, as the Republicans would call them, and made up their own minds.
Well, if you look at voter turnout right here in Milwaukee, and of course, Dane County, overwhelming. Now, I realize we've only been back there a month. But not only is this a victory for Justice Dallet, we're also claiming victory right here at Resistance Radio, man.
Congratulations,
Crudy. To you as well, sir.
Why, thank you, Michael.
You're welcome. Democrats, you're welcome, Wisconsin. And you're welcome, man. A huge show. But the winners. Now, Keith, have we given you adequate time? Do we have the exclusive Dallet sound?
I've got it.
Okay, let's start there. Let's start with the winner, Justice Dallet. Not moments after the victory. We were deferential to some of the 10 o'clock news people. We've got
victory speech?
No,
just the
hang on.
Cut number 2.
Hang on for me.
All right. Glad we clarified. Yeah, so we did. We got a little exclusive after the fact. We let her go say hello to her family and friends, and we stuck around afterwards and pulled her aside.
And we interviewed her with cold beers in our hand.
Provided by her, I believe.
I know, those are the best kind. The kind somebody else buy for us. Keith's ready. Let's do it. Big fancy Keith, play it for us. Our exclusive Devil's Advocates post-victory with Justice Rebecca Dallet. So, Justice Dallet, big one tonight. Did you see it coming at least to this degree?
I honestly am amazed at the amount of support we got throughout the state. I think it's incredible, and the amount of people that came out to vote despite snow and inclement weather, and it's pretty incredible.
Now, obviously, a lot of ads went back and forth in this race. If money was the only factor, you would have lost. What do you think brought you to the finish line? What do you think helped you win?
That's what I think is so incredible, is we really are talking about the people taking their voice back instead of just the money dominating and who spends the most wins. So I really am encouraged by that, and I think Wisconsinites should be too.
Now, Justice Dallet, while we celebrate tonight, you still got a busy judicial calendar.
I have so much to do that we have put off for the last couple of weeks, and I'm looking forward to getting back to work, actually, and looking forward to continuing to work for the people of our state.
before I let you run off, let Dom have one.
Rebecca, you ran one hell of a campaign. We're so very happy for you. We appreciate you coming out all the time.
Thank you. Thank you. It was a lot of fun.
I want to get your comments. The GOP supported your opponent. They were the biggest financial contributor to his campaign. What do you think this says about the mentality of the voting bloc?
Well, I think what it says is that the people of our state are going to be in charge of their elections and not let large groups, special interest groups like the GOP really decide for them who are next Supreme Court justices or any other office for that matter.
You know, anytime there is a victory, Crudy, congratulations, once again, Justice Rebecca Dallet. Every time there is a victor, there is a loser.
You can't have victory without defeat. And the loser of the evening, the big loser of the night. No, it wasn't Skrenak, although he is a loser.
Yes.
The big loser.
But wait, Skrenak is such a loser, he lost in Sauk County. That's his county where he is a judge.
Oh, you noticed that? Where he's going back to serve now on the local bench. Looking forward to going back to home turf. I thought he tweeted out earlier today. You said, what, like 3 retweets? Yeah. Apparently the Republicans don't like losing graciously, Dom. But anyways, going back to Sauk County where he lost his own backyard. Kind of reminds you of Al Gore a little bit. Anyways, the loser, and it's very clear who he is. Governor Scott Walker.
Of course.
Daniel Bison, we're going to get some of this in before the break. Governor Scott Walker, according to Daniel Bice, got the message loud and clear. The biggest losers in the state on Tuesday were the St. Louis Cardinals. Dom, a walk-off homer by Ryan Braun last night.
You know, we were watching that game as we dined and had a couple of drinks before heading over to the victory party. And when we left, it was like, what, 4-1? Oh, we were complaining, damn, these Brewers, come on, you guys.
I knew it all the time.
Come on.
In my own mind, I was thinking, big Dallet victory and Ryan Braun, walk-off Tater, we're going to win tonight.
That's not what you said.
The Boston Celtics swatted away by Giannis. And the other big loser last night, Walker. Not only did the second-term Republican governor's pick for the Supreme Court go down in flames, talking to you, Skrenak, but the voters also rejected his party's proposed constitutional amendment to do away with the state treasurer's office. I mean, Dominic, why would he get involved in that issue? But he put his name on it, and he got repudiated by the voters.
And now he owns the loss.
And a Walker-endorsed candidate narrowly lost in a race in Waukesha County Circuit Court. Yes, in Waukesha County, the base of the Republican Party in Wisconsin, making the governor 0 for 3 on the night. And how did Walker respond? By going to Twitter and blasting his opponents. Driven by anger and hatred, he accuses us,
What?
Dom.
Come on.
While most people were still in bed. Says Daniel Bice. Sound familiar?
Yes, I thought it did as well. Very Trumpian of our governor. And, you know, it's amazing. And he sent out a fundraising letter today, Crudy?
I did get a solicitation from Walker's campaign, you know, because no better time to ask people for money
when you're getting your ass kicked
than after a big loss. Who fundraises on a big ass whooping? Hey, I got bloodied last night. I need your dark money. I need your money now. That's the sort of solicitation I got.
So the winner, Justice Rebecca Bradley, congratulations. The losers, the biggest loser, Governor Scott Walker, 0 for 3.
And the GOP, and the NRA, and let's not forget, never going to be Justice Scrotum. Let's not forget him. I want to say it that way one more time.
One last time.
Because you know what? I'm one of the winners, Dom. I can be as ungracious in victory today as I want to be. It feels great. I'm going to dance on that man's grave after he loses in the fall. The blue wave, it's begun. And it starts right here on Wisconsin's Resistance Radio Network. 1510 a.m. Waukesha, Milwaukee. 1580 Columbus, Madison. Come back with us. A really, really big show.
The biggest fear that I and I think a lot of our supporters have is the outside money. Is this a campaign promise, something you want to be held to?
You're despicable.
Hi, this is Brad Saug, owner of Zero Res Madison Carpet Cleaning. Zero Res is the best new technology in carpet cleaning. We have a patented process using empowered water, a high-tech process in which we force the water to act like soap. It doesn't want to stay in that state. It's jacked up and it's angry and it wants to hit the dirt and then it neutralizes. When we're done, all that's left in your carpet is just light moisture. In the end, you get the cleanest, greenest, healthiest carpet cleaning available. Call us at 848-9000. Zero Res. Spell it backward or forward. It's the right way to clean.
Hey folks, sexy liberal Stephanie Miller here. Most new Wisconsin jobs are in Dane County, it's true. Some of my listeners are relocating to Madison. Many already commute there. When asked where to turn for a trusted real estate team that understands Madison, I say the same thing. Solidarity Realty. They help you through the process and protect your consumer rights. They live their values, building community, promoting sustainability and diversity. Find them today at solidarityrealty.com and tell them Stephanie Miller sent you.
Have a drink at Regano's Roman Coin. This neighborhood corner tavern is as classic as the street it occupies. Family owned and operated since 1966, Regano's Roman Coin is located in a former Pabst Tide House on historic Brady Street, serving an array of craft beers with a focus on Wisconsin breweries. Also, weekly drink specials, trivia on Wednesdays, seasonal sporting events, parties hosted for all occasions, and pet friendly. Open 11 a.m. Tuesday through Friday, 10 a.m. Saturday and Sunday, closed on Monday. Regano's Roman Coin, Milwaukee's pet friendly, cash only order and classic corner tavern.
I'm State Representative Jocasta Zamaripa.
And I'm Joel Clayfish.
Listen to us on the Joel and Jocasta Show, Saturdays at 3 p.m.
She's a Latina woman from the inner city of Milwaukee, and I'm a white guy from the suburbs. Diversity in the white guy. You are not going to believe what you hear on this show. I'm telling you, you're going to have to listen. News Talk, 1510 a.m., WRRD.
Wisconsin's Resistance Radio.
I'm Andy Buck, and I'm proud to be union.
Tell me about the underground economy.
Well, the underground economy is essentially workers being exploited, and they're being exploited all over the state. They're working for no benefits, no retirement, and if you don't join your brothers and sisters, you don't respect your craft.
Andy, why should I hire union?
Crudy, you should hire union because you want the job done right the first time. We represent the highest skilled, safety-trained workers in the industries that we represent. Glazers, painters, and drywall finishers. Join us. Painters and Allied Trades, District Council 7.
Well, Jason, I've got to tell you, you're pretty much everything this company is looking for in an entry-level candidate.
Great.
Your resume isn't quite what we're used to, but you've got a fantastic work ethic.
Thank you.
And I'm impressed by how you carry yourself.
So, should we talk about the job?
What? The job? Oh, sorry. Yeah, I have no way of recruiting or even meeting you. This interview didn't happen.
It may sound ridiculous, and that's because it kind of is. There's a huge pool of talent your company is missing out on. Meet the grads of life. Who are they? Talent worth knowing about. Young adults of unique determination and experience. An ideal fit for your company in an entry-level position, internship, or even mentorship. They might not have every qualification you typically look for, but they're exactly who your company needs.
Man, we really could have used him.
Don't miss out on a resource many innovative companies have already discovered. Go to gradsoflife.org to learn how to find, cultivate, and train this great pool of untapped talent. Brought to you by the Ad Council and gradsoflife.org.
Driving means
freedom,
exploration,
fun,
pride,
flexibility,
protection,
friendship,
escape,
independence.
Distracted driving means
danger,
recklessness,
irresponsible,
chaos, police, devastation,
injury,
death.
Safe driving means staying alert and staying alive.
Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org, a message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, Noise, and the Ad Council.
The Devil's Advocates, because freedom.
And we are back. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show live on Wisconsin's Resistance Radio Network, also streaming on YouTube and Facebook. The Twitter handle at Devil Radio, and the text phone line 844-967-2789. Someone text in. Be careful, Dom. Rebecca Bradley. Ooh, if I misspoke, I certainly apologize. Rebecca Dallet.
Dominic, I would forgive you because I, like you, was partying until the wee hours last night.
We're too old for this, man.
Many victorious Democrats, everyone. I read it online somewhere, perhaps on our Facebook page. Victory has 1,000 fathers. Defeat is an orphan.
Right.
Well, I told you, everyone loves the victory party. I knew that we'd see guys like Tom Barrett down at the party last night. We saw Martha Lanning. We saw Mandela Barnes for lieutenant governor. We saw Matt Flynn for governor. Yeah. We saw Andy Grodick for governor. And anyways, good party. We were having a good time. We came down here and partied on Brady Street. We had like our own after the party. We continue to celebrate. But while we were, burning the midnight oil, Scott Walker was burning his own midnight oil, writing a Blue Wave solicitation. I got it. I'm on his mailer. And here's what it says. Mike, last night, the Wisconsin conservative movement, a model for the nation, was dealt a serious blow. It's like getting kicked in the nards, isn't it, Walker? We lost a critical Wisconsin Supreme Court race, putting one more liberal activist on the court, ready to roll back our reforms. Worse yet, the results show something very troubling. We are at risk of a blue wave in Wisconsin. At risk? That tsunami's going to crash you on the rocks. I read on. Between last night's defeat and the stunning special election loss earlier this year in a conservative district, I worry that the anger of the left could sweep us out of office in November and undo all of our reforms. If conservatives don't take action right now, all that we have worked for may be at peril. Please pitch in to ensure the far left special interests cannot do what we've worked so hard to accomplish over the years. We have taken on the unions. We have balanced our budgets. We have cut taxes, and we have done it all with your help. But I can't ignore the signs any longer. And after these two defeats, it is clear that our big, bold reforms are in jeopardy. We know that our race is being targeted by big government union bosses and special interests like Obama's Attorney General Eric Holder. And what we are seeing in Wisconsin is the anger of the far left like never before. Now that the anger and energy are translating into victories for liberals, please support our friends of Scott Walker campaign today so we can fight back and keep Wisconsin moving forward. Give $25, $50, $100, $250. We can't allow last night's defeat, which the far left and liberal media will try to sell as a bellwether for the November election, to distract us from our goal of delivering real results and moving Wisconsin forward. Let's show the liberals and extreme special interests that are willing to spend millions to defeat us that we are prepared to stand up and fight back. They're coming for us next. Yes, I am. But with your help, I know we can fight back and stop a blue wave in November. Scotty Wanker.
Scott, also last night, Crudy tweeted out, today's results show we are at risk of a blue wave in Wisconsin. The far left is driven by anger and hatred. We must counter it with optimism and organization. Let's share our positive story with voters and win in November.
Why does he think the left is so angry, Dom? It's not his governance. There's nothing to take responsibility for.
Come on, man.
And his sudden tack to the moderate to the left, that's got nothing. No, that's not pandering.
That's not because it's an election year. You notice he's just begging for more money. Never once does he think. Does he reflect upon his governance, his policies, his politics? Mr. Divide and Conquer is calling everybody else hatred and angry?
You made us angry. I was never an angry guy. I was always a happy guy. Hell, we were at a party last night. We were having a hell of a good time.
A lot of happy people last night. Not a lot of anger in that room.
I see a party girl right now. She's joining us next. She's Jessica Lovejoy. She was right to party last night. She was the campaign manager for the very successful Dallet for Justice campaign. That wasn't a win. That was an ass whooping. And it's not just Scrannock that got beat. It was you, Scott Walker. We're coming after you. We are the Devil's Advocates. This is Resistance Radio. We'll be right back in studio live with Jessica Lovejoy. More talk about partying and celebrating and bringing a blue wave and turning this state blue once again. It feels right. We will do so. We'll be right back.
Adopt US Kids presents Multiple Choice Parenting.
Your daughter just had her first breakup. Do you A, put yourself in her shoes?
How could he do this to you? And for Sheila, she has split ends.
B, console her.
Oh, sweetie, this is going to happen a lot. 4, maybe 5 more times before you get married.
C, take charge.
Got to get this all straightened out. Give a little talking to, man, mano a mano. Hey, Steve. Is now a good time? No? Okay, no problem. Bye.
Or D, help her find a new boyfriend.
I know a great place to meet boys. The internet. Nice, single boys. Never mind. How about some ice cream?
As a parent, there are no perfect answers. But you don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same.
For more information on how you can adopt, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
Hi, everybody. Did you know that Scott Walker spelled backwards is Wisconsin's Resistance Radio Network? I know, I was amazed too.
I'm afraid right now for the future of my children's generation and those to come.
In this age of mass school shootings, Wisconsin Governor Scott Walker offers the same bold agenda of the National Rifle Association.
Make sure you remember in your thoughts and more importantly in your prayers.
While Walker offers platitudes, he blocks meaningful gun safety legislation.
It's really an honor to work with the NRA not only in my state but across the country. And I'm proud of my A+ ranking as a governor.
Walker weakened the gun laws in Wisconsin, and then he got $3.5 million worth of NRA support.
There have been men and women of courage who've been willing to stand up and think more about the future of their children and their grandchildren than they thought about their own futures.
Scott Walker, you are not one of them. This message was paid for by the People for People Corporation. Donate online at p4ppc.org, p4ppc.org.
Do you own a rental property, or would you like to partner with a rental investment team? Call the pros you can trust at CCL Management. Rental expertise second to none, a general contractor on staff to direct repairs and improvements, and real estate brokerage services tailored to the small investor. If you're ready to invest in rental property or just need professionals to manage your real estate portfolio, call us, CCL Management, at 608-833-0009 or visit us on the web at cclmanagement.com.
I got to tell you, so when I first moved to Green Bay to play football in 92, I had never been to Wisconsin. But the funniest thing I thought, you could not buy hamburger patties without a dollop of butter on them.
Folks, just so you know, if you take a little bit of herb butter and put it in the middle of a patty and just kind of mold it around there, you get magic.
I have one of my arteries right now.
How much did you say you weighed?
I'm gaining weight with my thoughts right now.
You're $3 bills and some change already, brother.
Guns, Butter, Economics, 414 Wisconsin, weekdays, 2 to 3 p.m. on Wisconsin's Resistance Radio. For Wisconsin's Resistance Radio Network, I'm Stu Daniels with your headlines. Milwaukee County Circuit Judge Rebecca Dallet defeated Sauk County Circuit Judge Michael Skrenick yesterday, 56% to 44%, for a seat on the Wisconsin Supreme Court. It is the first time in 23 years that a candidate backed by Democrats won an open seat on the state's highest court. If you ever hear anyone say that their vote doesn't count, tell them that there was a tie for alderman yesterday in St. Francis. Both candidates for the 1st District seat received 253 votes. A winner will now be decided by random choice. And the Bucks beat the Celtics last night 106 to 102. I'm Stu Daniels for Wisconsin's Resistance Radio Network.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show. We got a party girl. She worked very hard and she brought home a big victory, and then she celebrated into the wee hours with us last night. She is Jessica Lovejoy, the campaign manager, Dallet for Justice. Congratulations. Welcome to the Devil's Advocates.
Thanks so much, guys. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah,
it's
thank
really
you, Jessica.
Great to be here.
Hell of a job.
Thank you.
Now, I did ask you last night, was this an anticipated victory? And you said maybe, but not nearly to this degree.
No, look, we came off of a big primary win that we, weren't expecting, but we were very excited about. And we knew that we were going to have to do everything that we could to put our all into the last 41 days between the primary and the general. And so, no, this was not something that we knew we had in the bag by any means, especially with all of the outside money pouring in.
And you had some polling, if I may ask. where did your polling, where did the campaign's polling show this race to be on Election Day?
Yeah, so the initial polling had us about 30% undecideds in that poll.
Oh, wow.
And we put out a polling memo on that. And, Judge Dallet was leading in areas where you think you would expect her to lead, in Milwaukee, Madison, I think. But not by much. It was after we tested some messages, it was like we found where we think was going to be the most effective places to go. And that was talking about how she's been a champion for victims her entire career, for women and children. Her history of service on the bench, which was really important to voters. And that's what we decided to really double down on.
Well, I don't want to throw you under the bus, but Jessica, you said your number's about 8. You thought the judge was up by about 8 in the race. Is that accurate? I mean, it gets a little fuzzy. Last night was a long night, but...
yeah, we had initial polling that had us up by 11.
By 11?
Mm-hmm.
Any differential, and we're taking credit for it. We've got Jessica Lovejoy. She gets all the credit. She is the campaign manager, Dallet for Justice. You were the first one thanked by the candidate, then newly elected Justice Dallet last night. But as she went through the list of names of the campaign, that was a girl-powered campaign, and I say that in all respect. This was a female-driven campaign. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, absolutely. It's something that's very important to me, so thank you for asking about that. One of the first people that we hired was Joyce Brennan, our finance director. She came off the Hillary campaign with me, strong, empowered young woman. We also brought on Jillian Drummond, who was our communications director, to help us. She's a seasoned veteran here in Wisconsin. And then we had my boss, Nicole Dursey, was also key in this race. We had a great media consultant, Ann Liston. So this perspective, I think, was really important because I believe that we need to have women at the table in these conversations and women leading campaigns. And we also had Emmy Harding, I can't forget. She was incredible. And our digital director was Emily Gittleman. So this female-centered campaign was very, very important to me because we were working not only for a woman candidate, but also in this time.
What about outside help? We hear a lot, and we saw lots of people eager to at least, rub up against victory last night. Let's start with the Democratic Party of the state of Wisconsin. How did they help?
Well, there were volunteers that were, eager to go knock doors and make phone calls. And so I think that there was, action teams across the state that said, hey, we want to talk to voters. And so they were running, voter contact, basically. And that was volunteer driven, which is amazing because they knocked on 29,000 doors.
It's amazing.
And when we see reported, I believe, Daniel Bice today, the only contribution by the Democratic Party of Wisconsin, $6,000 in kind, well, that certainly wouldn't account for 29,000 doors knocked.
So volunteer operations are not, we don't
technically party sponsored.
Right. Let's look at what the Republican Party put in for their candidate. $400,000.
Yeah.
40% of his contributions. It pales in comparison.
Now we hear a lot about that outside special interest. Former Attorney General Eric Holder and his group, obviously supportive of Dallet's run. He was here in Milwaukee campaigning on behalf of your candidate. What did Holder's group do? Were they influential in this outcome?
Well, look, they really care a lot about this gerrymandering. And this was ground zero for gerrymandering. And so I think it made sense for them to engage, to raise the issue, and to say, look, this candidate would be dangerous for Wisconsin and for fair maps. And I think that this is what we're expecting the Supreme Court decision to come down, in a matter of weeks or months. And it made a lot of sense for them to get involved, I think, in the ways that they did.
Folks, you're listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show on Wisconsin's Resistance Radio Network. Jessica Lovejoy, campaign manager, Dallet for Justice, in studio with us. Jessica, before we're going to play the speech that Rebecca gave last night, but before we do, I want to get your reaction. Governor Walker tweeting out last night, concerned about the blue wave, but he said that the left motivated by anger and hatred. I just wanted to get your reaction to that.
I think it's nonsense. I think he has every reason to be concerned. I mean, the level of enthusiasm in a spring election, we haven't seen this since 2011. And there were 24 counties that progressives turned out in that were Trump counties, right? That went for Judge Dallet. And, you know, his back candidate came up short. So
Scrinnock did not win Saw County, and that's where Scrinnock is for.
Well, and from my experience last night, and we talked to lots of progressives here on the show, there was no anger or hatred. It was happiness and love is what I felt last night, and certainly motivation. And not once did Governor Walker, any of them, ever question why this is happening, why, and this couldn't possibly anything that they did. It's all other people's actions.
Well, Jessica Lovejoy, campaign manager, Dallet for Justice, if you'll indulge us, we, for the benefit of those that went to bed at a decent hour last night, would like to play the victory speech from Justice Rebecca Dallet. Last night, Keith, this is cut 1. It's about 8 minutes. Bear with us.
Hang on a second. 8 minutes?
Thank you. Thank all of you. Almost 30 years ago, I was in law school in Cleveland, my hometown. Now, I had big dreams for where I'd end up after law school. I thought maybe I'd end up in New York, Los Angeles, London, San Francisco. I'll be honest, I didn't know much about Milwaukee. There was word it was in Minnesota. And I can't say that growing up that my vision, my dream was to live in Milwaukee. But as these things go, I met my husband Brad the day before law school started, who was from Milwaukee. And here's where we ended up. A great place on a great lake. And we've been building our careers and growing our family. It's been 25 years, and I've never looked back. Wisconsin is truly a wonderful place with wonderful people. It's now, without a doubt, my home. I wouldn't trade my life for anyone's. We have 3 amazing girls. I've got 2 of them here, and one of them's in college. I think she's right here. She's right there. Sorry, Abby. I didn't mean to drop you. And I thank Brad for just being the candidate's husband. Being the candidate's husband in this case for 10 months and living through being my support. I couldn't have done it without you. We're taking this journey together, and I thank all of you here in this room. These last few months, and it's been almost a year. I announced on June 1st, so it's been almost a year, and I have traveled every nook and cranny of Wisconsin. So I ate pizza in Superior. I shook hands with World War II veterans in Kenosha. I've looked out across the amazing bluffs in La Crosse, and I've driven past that holy temple at Lambeau Field in Green Bay more times than I can count, and I did it twice in the last week. But I really have gotten to see the best of Wisconsin and to make my case, and our case, to Wisconsin voters. And I'm glad to say that we won this race, and I'm headed to the Supreme Court. I have to thank my dedicated and energetic campaign team, and I really, truly, when I tell you I had the best team ever, I really, really had the best team ever. So Jessica, Joyce, Emmy, Jillian, Nicole, Dan, Israel, Tyson, Sachin. It takes dedicated people that are here and willing to just work so hard every day. And I know I pushed you all to work as hard as I work. And I know that's really hard, but it was obviously worth it. And I thank my family, Brad and Abby, who's on our Facebook or whatever we're doing. And Ellie and Rachel. And I know that I haven't been around a lot, but and I'm going to have to commute for the next 10 years. But I'm really, really grateful, and they all gave me the support I needed to, and they took care of themselves, which I really appreciate. They wanted to cook, they did their laundry, and I thank my colleagues, the judges, many of whom are here, and all the elected officials and community leaders, and there were so many people who stood up for me and who gave me their support and did it. And even today, the outpouring of support was incredible, and I could not have asked for a better support structure. Team, thanks for the laughs. Thanks for all the near misses in the car, Emmy. We did not get in a car accident, and we did not kill anyone. And I thank all of you who are here, and you remind me every day why we do this. We had so many volunteers. How many doors were knocked?
29,000.
20,000 postcards sent. I don't even know how many emails and texts and phone calls. How many texts did you make? 3,000. 3,000 right here. People donated to the campaign. People talked to their friends and their family and their neighbors and their colleagues. And this is you. This is you who did all this, not me. And even in the age of big money politics, campaigns are still first and foremost about people. That's right. And the people in this campaign worked hard and they gave their all. Friends, I ran with two things in mind. We need to restore independence to the judiciary, and we have to put Wisconsin values front and center. That's what I talked about throughout the entire campaign. Special interests definitely are having their impact, and it's on both sides of the aisle. That's why I pledged I will recuse myself if any of those special interests that supported me appear before me. Tonight we proved that when the people rise up and stand together, we can beat the special interests. We beat the NRA. We beat the millions of dollars that were spent on this race flooding into our state. Stands that we can restore the reputation and the independence of our judicial branch. We not only won this race tonight, we've lifted up the issues that matter and that put us on firm ground for the future. I have a few more months on the Milwaukee County bench before I head over to Madison. And as a local county judge, I know we need to keep our community safe from violent crime, and that means holding the worst perpetrators accountable. But more than that, it means addressing the root causes of crime. We need to address the drug crisis as a public health issue. Yeah. We need to confront racial bias in our criminal justice system. Yeah. We have to speak out when our civil justice system is undermined. We have to address the tremendous impact on our community from mass incarceration and brutality from the authorities. My colleagues on the Milwaukee County bench are making a tremendous difference, and I hope to continue to support them from the High Court. Winning is good, but I'm really proud of the way we won. We can hold our heads high, we consistently stood up for what is right, and we effectively made our case to the voters. People are engaged. They are hungry for change. We had a great turnout today, even with the weather. I had people sending me messages today about literally taking their shovels and shoveling themselves out so they can sludge their way to the polls. And that's pretty incredible. And that's because we should all be reminded how important it is to stand up and to turn out and to have your voice heard. There are elections again in August and November, and it's important that every turnout be high for every single election. Again, I thank all of you for everything you've done, and together we will continue to build a brighter future for Wisconsin.
That was Justice Rebecca Dallet. Her victory speech last night. We gave you the Bard side. That's our sound. We were right next to, and we were celebrating with all the many revelers, including Jessica Lovejoy. She'll come back with us. She was and is the campaign manager, Dallet for Justice. And I got a few more questions, like, did Skrinnock call? Did Walker call? Inquiring minds want to know, were they gracious in their loserness? I less so. Come back with us and Jessica Lovejoy, Dallet for Justice. We are the Devil's Advocates, Wisconsin's only resistance radio network.
I was on Zero Res Madison's Facebook page the other day, and they have almost 2,000 testimonials from local customers. Apparently, I am not the only one stoked on how cool this company is. A green technology that actually works better and doesn't cost more. It's a no-brainer. I'm in. We are starting our own Devil's Advocates revolution to free your carpets from harsh chemicals and soaps. Call Zero Res today and ask for the Diamond Crude Special 608-848-9000 or schedule online at ZeroResMadison.com. Zero Res, spell it forward or backward. It's the right way to clean.
Hi, Resistance Radio listeners. This is Kim Schrader, the president of the Milwaukee Teachers Education Association. We are the 4,600 educators who make Milwaukee's public education system possible. MTA members are the guardians of public education because every single day we are fighting to strengthen and protect public schools our students deserve. MTA educators are leading the fight in Milwaukee public schools for smaller class sizes, more recess, physical education, art, and music opportunities for every child in MPS. MTA educators are the champions for healthier school meals, positive discipline practices, equitable schools, and schools that partner with parents. MTA members are the guardians of public education, and we are proud to teach all children, regardless of their zip code. To learn more, follow us on Facebook at the Milwaukee Teachers Education Association.
Tune in to The Resistance, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio. Start your weekday off with the Earl Ingram Show from 7 to 9 a.m. Next is the Stephanie Miller Show from 9 to 11. Then from 11 to 2, it's the Tom Hartman Program. At 2 o'clock, it's 414 Wisconsin. Then from 3 to 6, it's the Devil's Advocates. Mandatory listening. Wisconsin's Resistance Radio.
Businesses today thrive and survive with technology. At Five Nines, we provide businesses with the IT tools they need to stay relevant. We offer enterprise-level solutions at competitive prices. I'm Todd Stryker, President and CEO of Five Nines. Let us manage your IT so you can focus on more important things, like running your business. Check us out at 5nines.com. That's the number 5, NINES.com.
Hi, I'm Crudy. I'm here with Bill Carroll, president of Teamsters Local 344. Bill, why are you union? Teamster strong.
Well, Crudy, our strength comes from our membership. The Teamsters are North America's strongest labor union with 1.4 million members.
Bill, what does the Teamsters do for the next generation?
The same thing that the Teamsters have done for the last 100 years, assisting groups of workers in negotiating improvements in their wages, hours, and working conditions.
Where do people go if they want to know more about the Teamsters, more about joining the union?
There's 3 easy options. They can call Local 344 at 414-258-4545. They can contact us through our website. That's local344.org. Local, the number is 344.org, or they can contact us through the Local 344 Facebook page.
Be union strong. Join Teamsters 344. Be like Crudy. Be like News Talk 1510 AM. Stand with the unions. Join the Teamsters. Local344.org.
In this hot real estate market, don't pay 5 or 6% commission. With Homeowners Concept Realtors, you pay no more than 3.9% for full service. Homeowners Concept Realtors sell many more homes per year than the average agent. That's experience you can count on. If you're thinking of selling, call 414-258-7778 for an agent that specializes in your area for ideas on price, marketing, and staging your home. The more you know, you'll wisely choose Homeowners Concept 3.9% Realtors. HomeownersConcept.com.
I would have gotten away with it too if it wasn't for those meddling devil's advocates.
And we are back. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show live on Wisconsin's Resistance Radio Network. If you missed any of this fine show, please check us out on the webs, domandcroot.com.
Dominic, we got fine guest live in studio, Jessica Lovejoy, campaign manager, Dallet for Justice, feeling victorious today. I'm feeling a little fuzzy-headed, but you're doing quite well. Jessica, let me ask you, did Skronik, did he concede last night?
Yes, he did. And he was very gracious, and it was a good conversation.
How about the governor? Was he as gracious? Did he also acknowledge the newest member of the Wisconsin Supreme Court?
We have not heard from Governor Walker, no.
Now, I heard one of the big endorsements, the vice presidential kind, I heard he also had kind words post-victory.
He did. He called to express...
Talking about Joe Biden, Uncle Joe, right?
Yes. Yes. He called my cell phone and spoke with Judge Dallet briefly, but, just had expressed how strong of a candidate she was, how great of a campaign we run. And he said, look, I've been involved and endorsed in a lot of these races, but this one I'm really excited about. And he's wished her well and said she's going to make a great justice.
Well, I'd encourage you to share our phone numbers with Uncle Joe, but, late night booty calls. Joe'd be calling all night. How about takeaways? What did this race teach you about the state of Wisconsin and the current dynamics?
Absolutely. Takeaways, I think it's that, look, primaries make candidates stronger, one. Two is that Wisconsin voters will stand up against special interest money. We just have to talk about it, right? And we can't run away from it, and we have to call them out. And I think that having a candidate that's willing to stand up and say, I will recuse myself from cases where groups, let's not hold our politicians to a double standard here, right? She will recuse herself for on cases where groups spend massive amounts of money and calling out the system as being one that's broken. And so in an age of seemingly endless campaign spending, saying we want somebody on the court that's going to be a voice for Wisconsinites and regular working people, that's really important. And then the third thing is just the incredible support that we got from labor and people that stepped up in so many ways. The teachers, the electricians, the plumbers and steam fitters. I'm missing people, and I'm sorry about that, but the list goes on and on and on, and it's incredible the support that we got.
Jessica Lovejoy, campaign manager, the very successful campaign manager, Dallet for Justice. It felt great. The party at a victory party for the Dems. I mean, I knew Dems knew how to party, but last night was an especially good party. So great to have made your acquaintance and to have had you come down here and join us and celebrate this victory at least one more day.
Yes, congratulations.
Thanks so much, guys. It's great to be on with you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jessica. We are the Devil's Advocates. More big show. Martha Lanning, Congressman Mark Pocan, Tom Perez, Scot Ross, Earl Ingram Jr. You better come back with us on Wisconsin's only Resistance Radio Network.
Wisconsin's doing terribly. The roads are a disaster because they don't have any money to rebuild them. They're borrowing money like crazy. They projected a $1 billion surplus, and it turns out to be a deficit of $2.2 billion. The schools are a disaster. The hospitals and education is a disaster. And when I see Scott Walker with his little motorcycle and puts his helmet on and he gets off and he makes a speech, but he's always riding like, he gets off a bike like he's a big tough guy, okay, or a little tough guy. Their lobbyists, their special interests, and their donors will start calling. They gave you $1 million to your campaign, and this one gave you $5 million, and this one, you have to do it. You know what he's going to say? Okay, I'll do it.
Mr. Trump, you're using the talking points of the Democrats, and as we all know,
I'm using facts.
This message was paid for by the People for People Corporation. Donate online at p4ppc.org, p4ppc.org.
Have you outgrown your house? Are you sick of apartment living? Not ready to buy but know you need to move? Hi folks, this is Tom Hartman for CCL Management in Middleton. You should consider moving up to one of the finer rental homes CCL Management represents. Unique houses and condos, always clean, most are pet friendly. Visit cclmanagement.com today to find your new home. CCL Management, Dane County's premier leasing and property management company.
Call CCL Management at 833-0009. That's 833-0009 or visit cclmanagement.com today.
Live via phone, he is former U.S. Attorney Jim Santel.
Firing Bob Mueller doesn't mean that the prosecution, the investigation goes away. Pardoning one individual does not mean that you undo everything that has been done before. So this notion that somehow by shutting down and by pardoning and by sort of stopping the process, you're also stopping the wheels of justice is simply, again, it's simply wrong.
The Devil's Advocates, weekday afternoons on 1510 a.m. Wisconsin's Resistance Radio.
You are listening to 1510 a.m. WRRD Waukesha, Milwaukee, and 1580 a.m. WTTN Columbus, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio Network.
Heading to the border, a possible motive. I'm Rich Johnson. Just as President Trump said yesterday, the troops are heading to the border, perhaps in the next few hours. So how many?
It will be strong. It will be as many as is needed to fill the gaps that we have today.
Homeland Security Secretary Kirstjen Nielsen says blame it on a big spike in illegal border crossings.
The numbers continue to increase. April traditionally is a month in which we see more folks crossing the border without a legal right to do so.
Arizona Governor Doug Ducey has already tweeted he is all for sending his state National Guardsmen to the border. The U.S. remains committed to eliminating ISIS from Syria. That word today from White House Press Secretary Sarah Sanders, a day after President Trump said he wants to bring the 2,000 U.S. troops deployed to Syria home. Why did a prolific YouTube video poster walk into the company's headquarters yesterday and start shooting?
At this point in the investigation, it is believed that the suspect was upset with policies and practices of YouTube. This appears to be the motive of for this incident.
San Bruno, California Police Chief Ed Barberini says 39-year-old Nassim Agdam used a gun that she legally bought and practiced with yesterday morning at a gun range. 2 of the 3 shooting victims have gone home. 1 is in serious condition. Are you holding on to a gift card from Toys R Us? If you don't want to use it for what's left at the toy stores that are going out of business, Bed Bath & Beyond says it will honor that card through tomorrow. You have until April 21st to use it at Toys R Us. On Wall Street, the Dow closed up more than 231 points, or about 1%. But right after the opening bell, the index fell about 500 points over fears of a trade war with China. But the president's brand new chief economic advisor says U.S. tariffs may not happen. Larry Kudlow says they're part of a process that could lead to new talks with China on reducing the huge trade deficit. I'm Rich Johnson.
Listen, as a hiring manager, I've got to tell you, the best job candidate isn't always the typical candidate. Sometimes they're a grad of life.
Meet the grads of life. Young adults of unique determination and experience, an ideal fit for your company in an entry-level position, internship, or mentorship. They might not have every qualification you typically look for, but they're exactly who your company needs.
Sometimes the best candidates aren't the ones you're used to.
Go to gradsoflife.org to learn how to find, cultivate, and train this great pool of untapped talent. Brought to you by the Ad Council and gradsoflife.org.
Whoa, long time no see. It's me, the Rock t-shirt in the back of your closet. Dude, remember? You crowd surfed in me, man. But you haven't worn me in like forever. I get it, you're retired, but I still got some rock left in me. So take me to Goodwill, where I can really make a difference.
Your donations to Goodwill create jobs, training programs, and education assistance for people in your community. To find your nearest donation center, go to goodwill.org. Donate stuff. Create jobs. A message from Goodwill and the Ad Council.
A new number from Facebook on just how many users are affected by the information breach to the British firm Cambridge Analytica. Here's correspondent Jim Roop.
It was first reported that the information of 50 million users were given to the political consulting firm, but Facebook now says it's more like 87 million. The new figures were disclosed in a long post about updated security measures, including one in which a link will let users know what apps they have and what information they've shared with those apps. Also allow customers to get rid of those apps if they want. Meanwhile, CEO Mark Zuckerberg is set to appear before a Senate subcommittee next week. Jim Roop, Los Angeles.
A fast food restaurant in Gulfport, Mississippi is telling customers to toke up before driving through. The manager of a Sonic put up a sign saying if you're smoking marijuana, have the courtesy to finish and air out before ordering. This after someone drove up and blew smoke into the face of an underage worker. I'm Rich Johnson.
Open road, here comes the Heffley family.
You've packed the smartphones, headphones, tablets, water snacks, cooler, sunscreen, bikes, skateboards, games, videos, sunglasses.
There's no room for people in here.
Just don't wimp out on the most important thing.
Deep fried butter on a stick.
No, seatbelts. Whether it's a long haul or short trip,
It's a win-win situation.
never give up until they buckle up. Visit safercar.gov/kidsbuckleup for more information. A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
The Resistance is live 7 days a week here on 1510 AM WRRD, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio. Tune in Saturdays for Busted Pencils, fully leaded education talk with Dr. Tim Slecker, 11 a.m. to noon. Then it's the voice of the voiceless, champion of the working class. Earl Ingram's Saturday show is live from 12 to 3 p.m. Then Right Meets Left with the Joel and Joe Costa Show. Republican State Rep Joel Clayfish and Democratic State Rep Joe Costa Zamaripa go toe-to-toe from 3 to 4. Always streaming at newstalk1510am.com, Wisconsin's Resistance.
For Wisconsin's Resistance Radio Network, I'm Stu Daniels with your headlines. Milwaukee County Circuit Judge Rebecca Dallet defeated Sauk County Circuit Judge Michael Skrenick yesterday, 56% to 44%, for a seat on the Wisconsin Supreme Court. It is the first time in 23 years that a candidate backed by Democrats won an open seat on the state's highest court. And Governor Walker signed new legislation yesterday that would end coverage of most abortions for state and local workers by public insurance plans. Variable cloudiness in the forecast for today, and then partly cloudy and cold tonight, lows tonight in the upper teens. Mostly cloudy tomorrow, highs in the upper 30s. For Friday, mostly cloudy and windy with highs in the low 30s. I'm Stu Daniels for Wisconsin's Resistance Radio Network.
The following program is a presentation of DC Communications, LLC. Warning, you are about to listen to the greatest radio show ever. And due to contractual obligations and to shield our airwaves corporate licensees from any semblance of liability, responsibility, and gullibility, we must tell you the views represented on this show are not necessarily those of this station or its management. This radio show contains differing points of view on current political topics, and due to the nature of its contents, it should be heard by everyone. Thank you for listening.
3, 2, 1.
Now live from the heart of liberal Wisconsin, where the political party is just beginning, welcome to the Devil's Advocate Show. Best friends proving it's never personal, only politics.
Please allow me to introduce myself.
Now here are your hosts, Dom and Crute.
Welcome back. Hour 2 of the Devil's Advocates radio show. What's the old saying? Beer before liquor.
Never been sicker. Liquor before beer. You're in the clear.
I did it the wrong way last night.
What if you go back and forth? What happens then? Liquor, beer, liquor.
You have an excellent time. At least if there is a blue wave afoot and it was a victorious night, we've got a fine guest joining us right now to help us celebrate a little bit on behalf of all Dems, all progressives, all blues. Martha Lanning, chair of the Democratic Party of Wisconsin. Welcome back, Martha.
Hey, thanks, everybody. What a great day it is today, huh?
Absolutely.
Well, Martha, it was great to see you at the celebration party last night. I haven't seen you at many of those. Martha, I gotta tell you, it felt good just to see a
all the votes, and Rebecca Dallet would still win. You almost could eliminate all of Milwaukee County and Dane County, and Rebecca Dallet would win.
Wow.
So this is not a statement about how, the Democrats turned out, liberal Milwaukee and liberal Madison. This is about the people of Wisconsin picking the best candidate, a candidate that stands up for Wisconsin values and is willing to be fair and just. And I'm just so excited that we are getting back on track.
Well, Martha, I think it perhaps could be both. But let me ask you, my friend, What's this mean for the big field of Democratic challengers to Scott Walker? I mean, Scott Walker is scared. Last night he was tweeting out very Trumpian sort of tweets about blue waves, and he's sitting in, "We lost big, please send me money. We need to buttress up for the fall," sort of solicitations overnight. Martha, what about the Democratic field? Unfortunately, there's no clear front runner to go out and challenge him immediately and say, you know what, the wave's coming for you next, Scott Walker. How does that message get out?
Well, I think there's a couple things here. First is that Scott Walker knows that his agenda isn't working for Wisconsinites, and he knows, his plan was to rig the system and then to have his big donors just help him get in office over and over again. He's panicked. He is panicked right now, and you can clearly see that. I mean, he's literally, I rarely agree with Governor Walker, but when he's talking about blue waves, I'm like, that's exactly right. We're building one right here in Wisconsin. And he should know that, his time is counting down because we're going to replace him. What's really exciting for all of our gubernatorial candidates are that, they are putting out a message about what we need to do. And I think this, what happened here today or yesterday, and the fact that we had so many voters come out, and the fact that we had activism all over the state. 70,000 contacts were made in just a couple weeks before this election, that those governors know that we're going to be there to support them, and that they are putting forward a message to tell Wisconsinites what Democratic leadership would do for them. And that's what we need to do. They need to talk about what they're going to offer, and we need to be sure that we're getting the infrastructure out there to get their message out.
Folks, you're listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show. Martha Lanning, chair of the Wisconsin Democratic Party. We've got a few more minutes with Martha. I want to ask you a question. First, make a statement. Governor Walker, in his rage, hashtag blue waves. I'm not clear that he doesn't know that when he does that, he is promoting the blue wave. He was telling people about the blue wave. You would think this is something he would, poo-poo or lay down, but he is promoting it. But I want to get your specific reaction, Martha, to his anger and hatred. I'm seeing this coming from the right, that, hey, all these progressive, they're just angry and they hate all of our reforms. We've been doing this show for a long time, and we've met lots of progressives, lots of people from all parts of the political spectrum, and I have not seen anger. I've seen some anger, certainly, but I have not seen hatred. This is coming from the divide and conquer governor. Just want to get your take on the way he's messaging this specific loss.
Well, clearly Governor Walker's becoming unhinged. He is in a panic, and so he's going to, lob out something again to try to divide our country and our state. And what I would say is that, am I going to stand up for the kids that live in an area where there isn't a lot of wealth and want to ensure that they get a quality education? Yes, I am, and so is my party. And that's not, we're angry that the state budget has been cut so much by education and how it has hurt our rural communities so much. We were angry about that, but we took action and we spoke up about it, and we saw referendums passing all over the state. We are frustrated and angry that the Republicans are investing all this money in one foreign company in the furthest, southeast corner of our state, when we are dead last in entrepreneurism. There's all kinds of opportunity to create businesses and create jobs and have family supporting jobs out there around our state. And instead, Governor Walker is playing into, his big donors. So are we angry? We are angry that the people of Wisconsin are being hurt by these things. But the difference is there's no hatred. This is a matter of getting together with our neighbors, hearing what their issues are, and putting a plan in place to create the change we need. And that is the exciting part about this, is that we are seeing people be enthused by what the Democratic message is, and we believe that it's going to keep building over this summer, and we're going to have a big change happening in November here in Wisconsin.
Well, Martha Lanning, if the Democratic Party is declaring victory, at least in this race, I think we're joining you. We are also declaring victory here, Martha. It's a good day for the blue team. We appreciate you joining us today. It was great to see you at a victory party last night, Martha Lanning.
Well, there's more victories to come. We got some special elections and then November. So thanks for everything you do, you guys.
Thank you, Martha Lanning, chair of the Democratic Party of Wisconsin. Got another fine guest and a good friend coming next. He's Congressman Mark Pocan. He's putting on town halls because guys like Paul Ryan won't. More Devil's Advocates on the other side. Please stick around.
Won't you let the good times roll? Won't you let the good
Hey folks, sexy liberal Stephanie Miller here. Most new Wisconsin jobs are in Dane County, it's true. Some of my listeners are relocating to Madison. Many already commute there. When asked where to turn for a trusted real estate team that understands Madison, I say the same thing. Solidarity Realty. They help you through the process and protect your consumer rights. They live their values, building community, promoting sustainability and diversity. Find them today at solidarityrealty.com and tell them Stephanie Miller sent you.
Hey, Batman here. Matt Rothschild from the Wisconsin Democracy Campaign. Hoping you'll support us as we track all that dark money that's splattering your screens with mud. You can count on us to tell you who really runs Wisconsin, and it's not Walker, Fitzgerald, and Voss. They're just the water boys for the Koch brothers, WMC, the NRA, and Diane Hendricks. You can find all this out at our website at wisdc.org, and while you're there, please send us a donation so we can keep after these bad guys.
Have a drink at Regano's Roman Coin. This neighborhood corner tavern is as classic as the street it occupies. Family owned and operated since 1966, Regano's Roman Coin is located in the former Pabst Tide House on historic Brady Street, serving an array of craft beers with a focus on Wisconsin breweries. Also, weekly drink specials, trivia on Wednesdays, seasonal sporting events, parties hosted for all occasions, and pet friendly. Open 11 a.m. Tuesday through Friday, 10 a.m. Saturday and Sunday, closed on Monday. Regano's Roman Coin, Milwaukee's pet friendly, cash only order and classic corner tavern.
The Devil's Advocates.
We've got U.S. Senator Ron Johnson, our friend, live via phone. Ron, in all seriousness, if this was Barack Obama, you'd be screaming, "Stormy, stormy, stormy," from the rooftops.
You're too young to understand this excuse. This would be the Sergeant Schultz answer, "I know nothing."
But as the chair of the HISCAC, Sir, Homeland Security Governmental Affairs Committee, you could get to the bottom of this, could you not, Ron?
I see nothing. I know nothing.
Making radio great again.
Hi, this is Brad Saug, owner of Zero Res Madison Carpet Cleaning. Zero Res is the best new technology in carpet cleaning. We have a patented process using empowered water, a high-tech process in which we force the water to act like soap. It doesn't want to stay in that state. It's jacked up and it's angry and it wants to hit the dirt and then it neutralizes. When we're done, all that's left in your carpet is just light moisture. In the end, you get the cleanest, greenest, healthiest carpet cleaning available. Call us at 848-9000. Zero Res. Spell it backward or forward. It's the right way to clean.
Take a look under your bed. Find stuff under there? What about jobs? No? Now try your basement. There's a pair of overalls that overall you're not so into anymore. A perfectly good laptop that hasn't sat in your lap in months. And even more stuff, but still no jobs? Well, you really have both. See, stuff is defined as household articles considered as a group. Sometimes this stuff is no longer needed. Wait, no longer needed? That can't be right. Because remember those jobs you were looking for? Those are really needed, and they're the stuff inside your stuff. Even inside that winter coat that moved with you to Phoenix. Our job is to unlock those jobs, and it starts when you donate your stuff to your local Goodwill. Here's how we do it. When you donate to Goodwill, we sell your stuff to provide job training for people right here in your community. So just by teaming up with Goodwill, you help create jobs. And isn't that worth parting with the leftover keytar from your 80s cover band? Goodwill. Donate stuff, create jobs. Find your nearest donation center at goodwill.org. A message from Goodwill and the Ad Council.
My name is Lola Silvestri, and I'm going to be 95 this year. I was very independent. I fell, and I had to have Meals on Wheels. America, let's do lunch.
1 in 6 seniors faces the threat of hunger, and millions more live in isolation. Drop off a hot meal and say a quick hello. Volunteer for Meals on Wheels by donating your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org. This message brought to you by Meals on Wheels America and the Ad Council.
The Devil's Advocates, radio for the 99%.
And we are back from the 420 break. Thank you so much for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show, streaming on YouTube and Facebook and online at domacroot.com.
Thank you, Martha Lanning. Welcome, Congressman Mark Pocan, our good friend. Mark, while we were out partying, man, you've been having town halls informing the electorate in the state of Wisconsin. Welcome, sir.
Yeah, thank you. I think we've had 3 town halls so far. We've got one more in district tonight in Madison at 6:30 at the Goodman Atwood Center. That's our Madison town hall. And then we kind of added one on Saturday since Paul Ryan's been a little bit too busy to, care about his constituents. We've decided someone should. It's been almost 3 years since there's been a live town hall open to the public in Paul's district. So Randy Bryce and I are doing one at 1 o'clock on Saturday at the UAW Hall in Janesville.
You know, Mark, I've seen you do town halls in Paul Ryan's district before. Do you do this entirely for educational purposes, or are you trying to tweak the speaker a little bit as well, sir?
I plead the fifth.
I know nothing.
First of all, I mean, the 101 of our job is to listen to our constituents, right? Paul left Wisconsin a long time ago. He's a part of the swamp. He's one of the higher paid swamp creatures in Washington. But he's not representing, people from my hometown of Kenosha or my husband's hometown of Janesville. And, I just feel that we need to be able to go into the district and let people express their views of what Paul Ryan's doing. Because believe it or not, I haven't had a person yet in the 1st Congressional District ask to take away their health care, or a person yet to say, please give 83% of any tax breaks to the top 1%. Don't keep me in mind. And that's exactly what Paul's been doing. So, tonight we're having one in Madison to hear from people in the district like we did in Beloit and Darlington, Monroe in the last couple of weeks. But we're going to go over to Janesville on Saturday.
Folks, you're listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show. We got our good friend, Congressman Mark Pocan, checking in between town halls, and he's doing one in Paul Ryan's district. And I got to ask you, Mark, the Republican rumor mill says that perhaps Paul Ryan's not even going to run for re-election. I know that would make a guy like Randy Bryce awfully happy, but want to get your opinion, sir. He and the wife haven't prayed on it or however they make their decisions, but watching that blue wave election sweep Dallet to the Supreme Court last night, that's got to give him more second thoughts, don't you think, Mark?
Anyone who represents a congressional district in Wisconsin, short of Jim Sensenbrenner, that's a pretty deep red district, saw, based on those results, that they have a competitive congressional election. So, Paul's got to decide. Right now, thanks to that tax bill he passed, he has a gold-plated resume. He can go to Goldman Sachs and make 10 times his congressional salary, or he can risk losing his seat or losing the majority under his watch. And that may look more like fool's gold than real gold. And he's going to have to make that decision. I don't know exactly what he's going to decide yet, but I can certainly see a case for him not running.
So, Mark, I want to get your take on this election last night. Of course, this comes on the heel of the 10th Senate District. This comes on the heels of 3 Wisconsin judges slapping Governor Walker's idea down to not hold special elections. And then, of course, we see Dallet's huge victory yesterday. And, of course, the repudiation of the idea that we get rid of the Wisconsin Treasury position. What do you think this tells you? What does this tell us about the electorate these days?
They want to slap the president and the governor really hard. They are not happy with the direction of the state or the country. And, when you see something, like the referendum on the state treasurer's office, which most people probably wouldn't have paid that much attention to, but instead get a pretty big repudiation of what the legislature did, that's because they're not happy with the direction of the state or the country. And that's in direct response to what President Trump, Paul Ryan, and Scott Walker are doing.
Mark, on a national news level, I want to get your take on this as well. I saw reporting today the president is considering sending, if not the military, perhaps National Guard members down to the southern border. He's obviously not happy with the progress of his wall or the security thereof. What's your take on that, sir?
This is the president's white whale. Even the Republicans don't want to do the wall. They didn't put any funding in the omnibus. The funding they did put for border security, they explicitly said couldn't be used for a wall. It is only Paul Ryan and a bunch of his racist base, that still think a wall makes sense. And, Donald Trump's going to keep playing that up, but I don't think anyone else is actually asking for it, and we're going to do our very best to make sure it never happens.
But, Mark, what about DACA and the Dreamers? He also seemingly is railing against the Dreamers. I'm not sure if he's trying to pressure the Dems or blame the Dems.
I don't think Donald Trump knows what he's doing on this issue. I mean, clearly he broke something that wasn't broken. He wouldn't take yes for an answer when we tried to give him yes for an answer, and now he's trying to blame the Democrats when everyone who is thinking knows that he's the one who broke the issue. I mean, it's totally illogical, and it again goes to that narrative. He thought he could use it for leverage for his wall. We're not going to let him, and therefore, he's just not going to be able to succeed in what he's doing.
Mark, I know you mentioned you're holding a town hall in Paul Ryan's district. My understanding, a national movement afoot to try and convince Congress people to hold town halls specifically this Saturday, April 7th. Mark, I might be confused on some reporting, but I thought this in some way, shape, or form was connected to the Parkland, Florida kids and these marches.
It is.
And my question, I guess, Mark, is, Skrinak, the endorsed darling of the NRA, lost in the state of Wisconsin last night. We know Paul Ryan has not had much other than thoughts and prayers to offer after every mass tragedy, after every school shooting. Wondered, Mark, if you think this issue, this gun safety issue, suddenly is moving the electorate, especially young people.
Absolutely. I mean, it does feel different. It's young people who put together these rallies. Young people who put together the town hall project. They asked members of Congress to do town halls. I've done 4 of them in district. Now we'll do one outside. But I think only about 60 of us actually were doing town halls during the 2 weeks that we were in district. And, it's a bare minimum of our job is to actually listen to our constituents. And I think the fact that they wanted to organize them on Saturday, we agreed to put this together in Janesville since Paul's not participating, a little more of a high-profile one for them. And Randy Bryce graciously agreed to be there since I think he's the one who's going to replace Paul Ryan, and they can get a chance to see their congressman a few months before he's sworn in.
Well, Mark, I know gun safety plays well in Madison in a blue district, perhaps even in Milwaukee in a very blue district. But what about outstate? Can Dems use gun safety as a platform? We got the gentleman running in the first Senate special.
There are a number...
a hunter, but also someone that would advocate for gun safety.
Yeah, and I think there are a number of issues from background checks and other things. There's strong public support. So, I do think the public is already there, and we're going to make it happen. I unfortunately have to go here. I'm on a real hard... Sonny Hoyer's in town, and I've got to leave right now, guys. I apologize, but hopefully people can make it to the town hall tonight.
Yes, please do. Thank you, Congressman name dropper Mark Pocan, our good friend. He's hanging out with Steny Hoyer, apparently. What, the minority whip cooler than us, Tom?
I doubt it, but he is the minority whip. And so the town hall in...
Goodman in Madison, at the Goodman Center in Madison tonight at 6:30.
And
Going
Saturday
at 1 p.m. My understanding, he and Randy Bryce will town hall in Paul Ryan's district. I thought he said at the Union Hall, but we'd have to verify. We'll try to put that up on our Facebook page. Come back with us. Another big guest, Tom Perez, chairman of the Democratic National Committee.
It just keeps getting better.
I know, it doesn't seem possible. But every single day, this show incrementally is just a little better than the last. Man, you guys are so lucky you listen to us every day. Come back, more Devil's Advocates.
Pay attention, son. This is for your own good.
Do you own a rental property, or would you like to partner with a rental investment team? Call the pros you can trust at CCL Management. Rental expertise second to none, a general contractor on staff to direct repairs and improvements, and real estate brokerage services tailored to the small investor. If you're ready to invest in rental property or just need professionals to manage your real estate portfolio, call us, CCL Management, at 608-833-0009 or visit us on the web at cclmanagement.com.
We got Mark Pocan live via phone. Mark, does Paul Ryan hate poor people?
Oh, he hates poor people and middle-class people. I mean, I think when he was probably 5 years old playing with Play-Doh, trying to, adjust the taxes on Play-Doh. And so, to be fair, I think he's doing what he always said he was going to do. It's just no one actually believed he was either that cruel, evil, or dumb to do it.
The Devil's Advocates, weekday afternoons on 1510 AM, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio.
You are listening to 1510 AM WRRD Waukesha, Milwaukee, and 1580 AM WTTN Columbus, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio Network.
Crazy e-bike Lenny, where you been? We've been missing your nonsense on this radio station.
Come on, Trump is all the nonsense you need. But Crazy Lenny's e-bikes has some real sense. 2017, top-of-the-line, cold standard, 60-mile range e-bikes, liquidation price to $900. 60 miles with both pedal and throttle assist. A $2,000 e-bike for $900. This bike is great.
That's crazy.
And it's not fake news.
Go see my friend Lenny, 6017 Odana Road, Madison. Tell him the Devil's Advocate sent you.
In this hot real estate market, don't pay 5 or 6% commission. With Homeowners Concept Realtors, you pay no more than 3.9% for full service. Homeowners Concept Realtors sell many more homes per year than the average agent. That's experience you can count on. If you're thinking of selling, call 414-258-7778 for an agent that specializes in your area for ideas on price, marketing, and staging your home. The more you know, you'll wisely choose Homeowners Concept 3.9% Realtors. HomeownersConcept.com.
You wanted to see me?
Yes, please, have a seat. So here's the thing. When this company brought you on, we took a chance on you. You didn't have that 4-year college degree we typically look for.
Right.
But we gave you a shot anyway. And since then, you've worked incredibly hard and given it your all.
Thanks.
You've been an important asset to the team, but I don't think you can be an intern here anymore. We want to hire you.
You're serious?
Absolutely.
Find your next great employee. Introduce yourself to the Grads of Life. Who are they? Talent worth knowing about. Young adults of unique determination and experience. An ideal fit for your company in an entry-level position, internship, or even mentorship. They might not have every qualification you typically look for, but they're exactly who your company needs.
I won't let you down.
I know.
Don't miss out on a resource many innovative companies have already discovered. Go to gradsoflife.org to learn how to find, cultivate, and train this great pool of untapped talent. Brought to you by the Ad Council and gradsoflife.org.
For Wisconsin's Resistance Radio Network, I'm Stu Daniels with your headlines. Wisconsin voters decided to keep the 170-year-old office of the state treasurer by a wide margin in yesterday's election. Superintendent Darian Driver is leaving Milwaukee Public Schools for a position with United Way in southeastern Michigan. And the Brewers beat the Cardinals last night 5-4 with a walk-off home run by Ryan Braun. The game marks the first time in Major League history that a baseball game started with consecutive home runs and ended with consecutive home runs. Variable cloudiness in the forecast for today, and then partly cloudy and cold tonight, lows tonight in the upper teens. Mostly cloudy tomorrow, highs in the upper 30s. For Friday, mostly cloudy and windy with highs in the low 30s. I'm Stu Daniels for Wisconsin's Resistance Radio Network.
The Devil's Advocates. They refuse to do math on the radio.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates radio show. It's a joyful hangover show, Dom.
I've never had such a fun hangover.
Nor I.
I had no idea that this is what it's like. We've been all over this country, Crudy, but to have a victory like that here in Wisconsin, to kind of feel that energy in the room last night with Dallet's victory, it was a lot of fun.
Last time I partied seemingly all night like that, the night of Hillary Clinton's nomination in Philadelphia, when we were still in the hotel lobby partying, when others were getting up to make early flights.
Yes. We
Democrats know how to party.
They do, and Cleveland, a little less so.
Yeah, no party at the... And Governor Scott Walker calling us the angry party. Do you know... Scott Walker was at the nomination acceptance of Donald Trump. I mean, that was an ugly, dark speech, that nomination speech at the RNC. And you pointed out to me, I've often said this is the most astute thing you've ever said.
Ever?
Ever. You looked around, and we were coming out of the nomination. We were high in the rafters giving profane commentary during Trump's speech.
The best kind of commentary.
Historically, it's out there on our Facebook page somewhere. But you told me, you said, Crudy, look for smiles.
Look around. Look at the crowd.
There was zero smiles. Yeah. No one was happy. They had just nominated. I mean, hell, there was still a coup d'etat going on at the convention. And
Hell,
apparently,
all the balloons came down. I mean, their guy won, and as everyone shuffled to the exits of the stadium,
to the sounds of "You can't always get what you want,"
but sometimes you find you get what you need. To the party outside, there were 4 people dancing, and nobody smiling, and there were tens of thousands of people there.
Not much of a party.
No, it was
Republicans,
terrible.
they don't know how to party.
They do not. They don't know how to govern.
They
either.
will have no rationale or reason to party anytime soon. We're expecting a fine guest. Hopefully he joins us soon. He is Tom Perez, chair of the Democratic National Committee. And he was on the show just earlier this week. Dom, perhaps he thought an erroneous double booking.
Oh, come on.
But the truth is, I think even Badger Tom Perez wants to celebrate and party a little bit.
Everybody wants to get a little piece of the blue wave.
Yes, what a victory has 1,000 fathers. And we'd like to think we're at least, 2 of the sperm donors, Dom? What are we?
Go with the hangers on there. There's free beer at a party. We will be there. Crudy, Bill Glauber, Jason Stein, Journal Sentinel. Voters by a wide margin to keep Wisconsin's 170-year-old state treasurer's office.
What about this Adamczyk guy, this former Vukmer staffer that ran on a platform of elect me and I will not do the job? In fact, I want the job eliminated. Well, he was repudiated by the voters of the state of Wisconsin last night as well. Is it now time for Adamczyk to resign? I mean, how do you accept a $70,000 a year salary if you are unwilling to do your job?
Well, good work if you can get it. The guy, as the former, and I know I always forget his name, Crudy, the former treasurer of the state of Wisconsin, was on our show.
Jack Foyt.
Thank you. Mentioned that Adamczyk is probably the highest paid hourly state worker in the state. The highest
Well,
paid.
predicated on the fact he doesn't really do anything. And therefore, the cost per hour is exceptionally high with this guy.
Getting back to the article here, by a strong margin, Crudy, 61% to 39%. Voters Tuesday beat back a constitutional amendment and kept Wisconsin's 170-year-old treasurer's office. I'm flabbergasted that the results are as high as they are, said former GOP treasurer Jack Foyt, who led a coalition to keep the office. He said, I thought it would be a much closer vote than this. With little spending on either side of the referendum and no known polling, it wasn't clear until Tuesday which side would prevail in the contest that culminated a years-long effort to abolish the office. Some voters may have been surprised just to find the question on their ballot, no governor, no politician or political party should be above our state constitution, Voigt said. The current treasurer, Matt Adamczyk, led the charge to get rid of the office. The point of the constitutional amendment is to let the people decide, he said. We seemingly have a state treasurer, and it will be up to future legislatures to decide what the state treasurer will do.
Seemingly? What a snarky...
You are the state treasurer. What are you doing?
Carve out job responsibilities if you think they lack? I mean, you're getting paid a salary, sir. Go do some work.
The guy should resign.
Yes, absolutely.
Get the hell out. You don't want the job.
Let's make a call right now. Dominic calls for it.
I call for it.
What are you calling for?
I am calling for the seemingly current state treasurer, the seemingly Republican Matt Adamczyk, to resign your office. You don't want the job. You think the office should not be there. Go find something else to do. Get somebody in there who is a true servant for the state of Wisconsin and not just another taker.
And stop burning the taxpayers' money. Why am I paying this guy?
What did you do yesterday? What did you do the day before, Matt? What would you say you do here?
I'm advocating for the elimination of my position.
Besides that?
Take the easy step. Just quit.
You're right. We don't have to have a constitutional amendment for your big ass to walk out the door, Matt.
I would give Donald Trump the very same advice.
Yeah, but Donald Trump isn't calling for the elimination of the presidency.
It looks like we've got our fine guest. He is Tom Perez, Badger Tom Perez, chair of the Democratic National Committee. Tom, welcome back, sir.
Hey, it's great to be with you. I come to you today from Memphis, Tennessee, where we're marking the anniversary of Dr. King's assassination and recommitting ourselves to his legacy. And one of his legacies is voting. And boy, did people vote last night in Wisconsin.
Yes, sir, they did. Tom, you're familiar with our fair city, Milwaukee. One hell of a victory party going on at Dallet headquarters. Estimated time of death for the Republican-supported candidate, 8:57 p.m.
It was quick.
It was too early for the 10 o'clock news that they called this race, Tom. It was one hell of a party in Milwaukee last night, sir.
Well, I'll tell you, I had a flashback to Virginia. We thought Virginia last November was going to be 2 a.m. before we knew whether Ralph Northam was going to win. And as a result, I had a commitment earlier on, and I'm coming over to the place where he was going to celebrate. And I was told, you better get here fast because he's about 15 minutes away from delivering a victory speech. And I said, how could that be? It's only 9 o'clock. And the same thing happened yesterday. And what's really remarkable, guys, about this is when you look at her performance. Milwaukee County and Dane County, we always expect to win. And the good thing about it was those margins were excellent. But when you look at Brown County, you look at the 8th and the 3rd congressional districts, she won both of those. You look at the northwestern corners, that used to be Dave Obey territory back in the day when he was in Congress, and that's become pretty beat red in recent years. And she didn't win a majority there, but she was incredibly respected. That was a respectable performance. In a nutshell, it's not hard to figure out why Scott Walker didn't want to hold the special elections in Senate District 1 and Assembly District 42 because he understood that their candidates in those races are in trouble. This was a referendum on Scott Walker. This was a great candidate who ran a great campaign, and Wisconsinites want people who are balanced and bring balance to the bench and are going to look out for average Wisconsinites and not special interests. But this is also, I think, a real referendum on Walker, his divisiveness, his court packing, his gerrymandering, his attacks on the labor movement, his gutting public schools. People are fed up, and they want a counterbalance to Scott Walker. And we saw that reflected in last night's results, and we saw it reflected in January when Senator Shatner won that special election as well. This is not a aberration. This is a absolute trend.
Well, Tom, Dominic and I especially relish the results from Skronik's home county, which is Sauk. He even lost Sauk County. Well, that's squarely in the 42nd Assembly District. That's the special election that'll be coming up June 12th. Tom Perez, chair of the Democratic National Committee. Tom, last night, Scott Walker went on something of a Twitter storm, very Trumpian. He predicts, or perhaps is trying to call out his donors with calls of a blue wave being, foreshadowed by last night's results. What do you think, Tom? He's off this morning soliciting donations predicated on a big loss. Well, he's never had to use that theory that help me not lose sort of theory. Tom, what do you think this foretells for Scott Walker's future as the governor of the state of Wisconsin?
Well, Wisconsinites have woken up. He talked about, I think, in one of his tweets, we need an optimistic message. Well, how can you make people feel optimistic when you take away their health care? How can you make people optimistic when you take away the right to bargain? How can you make people feel optimistic when you're gerrymandering the heck out of districts? You want your elected officials to pick their voters, not voters picking their elected officials. People are fed up with it, and people are fed up with a world in which civility has just gone away. I think Senator Shatner ran a really remarkable campaign in her race, and there's the concept of Wisconsin nice, Midwestern nice. That's gone away under Scott Walker, and I think Wisconsin has suffered as a result. And I think you can't offer an optimistic message when what you're trying to do is help incredibly wealthy people and large corporations at the expense of everybody else. What are you going to tell those 500-600 Kimberly-Clark workers who got pink slipped in the aftermath of something like a $700 million, and I might be off by $100 million or so, tax break they got in this tax bill that Paul Ryan helped engineer. And they take that tax cut, they issue stock buybacks, which is a way to artificially inflate the value of stock for your, especially your senior leaders in your organization. And rather than investing in their workforce, they lay off their workforce. That's the Wisconsin that Republicans are bringing to people, and that I don't know how you put lipstick on that pig if you're Scott Walker, but that's a pig, and that's probably unfair to all pig farmers across America to compare that to a pig.
Tom Perez, chairman of the Democratic National Committee, joins us on the phone. Tom, I'm totally with you. I think people are yearning for some good civil conversations. It's one thing to disagree. It's another thing to go on a tweet storm and calling your opponents angry and hateful. I mean, this is how Walker is describing the Democrats in the state of Wisconsin, or anybody apparently who didn't agree with him on voting for the guy he wanted. Let me ask you this, though. Certainly, the hardcore Republicans, they'll be very hard-pressed to peel away their support for their guy. But, obviously I think this is a lot about the independents, and they sway back and forth. How do you think the Democrats should be messaging and reaching out to those independents that maybe were for Dems and maybe strayed a little bit in the last decade or so?
Sure. No, and I've met many of them. And part of the reason they strayed is they've told me, because I've asked them, I've wanted to understand how did we fall short in your eyes, and they've said, I don't know what you stand for anymore. I don't know what you're fighting for. And I take that critique to heart, guys, and that is why we have been so clear. We believe as Democrats that health care should be a right for all and not a privilege for a few. We believe that if you work a full-time job, you should be able to live a stress-free life. We believe that you should be able to join a union if you want. We believe that the Secretary of Education ought to believe in public education, and that the governor shouldn't be gutting public higher education, but rather should be investing in public higher education. And when we articulate these values and we live them and we fight for them, we believe that zip codes should never determine destiny. We believe that the right to vote is the most sacred right, and you should make it easier for eligible people to vote, not harder. We believe that when leaders unite people, that's when we're at our best. And when leaders divide people, that's when we're at our worst. And we believe that we have to invest in the challenges of urban and rural and suburban Wisconsin, and we can do all of that. It's not either or. And I think we're winning elections, not only in Wisconsin but elsewhere, because we're very clearly leading with those values. And I think those values command the respect of the vast majority of Wisconsinites. And I think Scott Walker is right to be worried, because he has been governing he's been governing at the expense of Wisconsin, and people are really sick and tired of being sick and tired, and that is why I think we have a real shot.
Tom, I got to ask you, Scott Walker is blaming Eric Holder's group, outside special interests, etc. And while I know they certainly were supportive of Dallet's campaign, he neglects to mention the dark money that flew in behind Skronik on the Republican side. The Republican Party, his single biggest donor, last I heard. But Tom, my understanding is the DNC and you had some involvement. You put boots on the ground. Hell, I met a guy last night that was given a lot of credit for bringing some strategic thought to the campaign of Dallet last night. Tom, why did you and the DNC get involved in what's supposed to be a nonpartisan race in Wisconsin, and do you think it was worth the investment of resource?
Hey, the mission of the new DNC is to help elect Democrats from the school board to the Oval Office and everywhere in between. And I'll tell you, the person who is the real unsung hero in Wisconsin is a woman named Martha Lanning, who's the chair of the party. Martha has been working tirelessly to build in every county infrastructure, to lead with her values, to make sure we take no one for granted, I spent some time with her recently on a listening tour. We just invested above and beyond our already increased investment. We invested 6 figures in Wisconsin, and the goal of it was to drive up African American and Latino turnout, because we saw in 2016 that we frankly we let our guard down and we underperformed, and that was a shame on us moment. And so, yes, we invested. Yes, I'm proud of that. One of my most seasoned senior leaders at the DNC, who actually worked on my own campaign for DNC chair, we had him out in Wisconsin for the waning days because we wanted to help. Elections matter, and elections for Supreme Court matter a lot. Look what happened in Pennsylvania. We talked about this the other day. Because they had a Supreme Court who reflected the values of common Pennsylvanians, they addressed their partisan gerrymander by using state constitutional law. That was remarkable. That's important. And now people running for U.S. Congress in Pennsylvania this year, they're going to run in a level playing field. Well, that's all we're asking for. And that's why these races are important. And I'm proud to have invested in that. I'm proud to have invested in Doug Jones last year, and I'm proud to be carrying out our mission statement everywhere. We're in every zip code strategy, in every county strategy, and we're playing in elections that, frankly, the Democratic National Committee hasn't played in before. Our old approach to state Supreme Court elections was what I call a faith-based initiative. We pray that our candidate would win, but we didn't do a damn thing about it.
Gotta let you go, man. You know, last night Milwaukee partied. It will party even harder when the DNC comes to town. Thank you, Tom Perez. More Devil's Advocates on the other side.
Hi, I'm Todd Stryker, President and CEO of Five Nines. Have you got your head in the clouds on how to manage IT for your enterprise? We can make your dreams a reality. With our enterprise cloud technology, consulting, servers, networks, and hosting, we'll manage your IT so you can focus on running your business. Consider Five Nines your personal enterprise IT solution. Enjoy technology. For more information, visit 59s.com. That's the number 5, NINES.com.
Hi, I'm Crudy. I'm here with Bill Carroll, president of Teamsters Local 344. Bill, why are you union? Teamsters strong.
Well, Crudy, our strength comes from our membership. The Teamsters are North America's strongest labor union with 1.4 million members.
Bill, what does the Teamsters do for the next generation?
The same thing that the Teamsters have done for the last 100 years, assisting groups of workers in negotiating improvements in their wages, hours, and working conditions.
Where do people go if they want to know more about the Teamsters, more about joining the union?
There's 3 easy options. They can call Local 344 at 414-258-4545. They can contact us through our website. That's local344.org. Local, the number is 344.org. Or they can contact us through the Local 344 Facebook page.
Be union strong. Join Teamsters 344. Be like Crudy. Be like News Talk 1510 AM. Stand with the unions. Join the Teamsters. Local344.org.
The Devil's Advocates.
My Congresswoman Gwen Moore.
I think that you guys are filling a very important space. I think African Americans consume radio at a very high rate, and they really rely on radio for information. And so, word of warning to all those candidates out there, don't ignore these inexpensive ways to advertise.
Well, wait until we get our FM. They're going to get more expensive all the time.
Radio for the 99%.
We are the People for People, People Corporation. We are a registered 501c3, totally legit. What do? We take your uncapped, dark money, tax-deductible donations, private or corporate, always anonymous, and we turn it into free speech. You know, educate Wisconsin through advertising, which may or may not be in coordination with the candidate. Isn't that illegal? It should be, but it's not under Wisconsin law, thanks Governor Scott Walker. Politicians in Wisconsin are beholden to the millionaire and billionaire sugar daddy and sugar mamas that finance their campaigns. Time to make them beholden to we the people for People Corporation. Give your tax-deductible donation to the real patriots, the People for People Corporation, P4PPC.org, CP4PPC.org.
My name is Adam Holmes, and I'm proud to be union.
Adam, you're director.
The Devil's Advocates may not agree on much, but funny is funny.
And we are back. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show on Wisconsin's Resistance Radio Network. Also streaming on Facebook and YouTube. On Twitter at Devil Radio. Phone lines 844-967-2789.
Dominic, want to thank Tom Perez, chairman of the Democratic National Committee, met his young on-the-ground guy last night, Ramsey. Quite an impressive young man. Very smart.
Yeah, smart. Great crew. Had a good time after the party.
The after party right here on Brady Street brought him close to home. Want to thank all our fine guests so far this show. We got more coming. Scot Ross, Executive Director, One Wisconsin Now in the 5 o'clock hour. WRD Resistance Radio's own Earl Ingram Jr. going to talk a little MLK in the happy hour. But this show, Dom, a stupendous show. One for the archives, perhaps. Jessica Lovejoy, she the successful campaign manager, Dallet for Justice. Martha Lanning. Tom Perez had some nice things to say about her. We always try to speak kindly of Martha. She was our guest back in the 4 o'clock hour. Wisconsin Democratic Party Chair, Congressman Mark Pocan. Consider going to his town hall. All you folks listening on 1580 AM, Madison, Columbus. Mark will be at the Goodman Center at 6:30. And then on Saturday, doing a town hall in Paul Ryan's district with Randy Bryce. Apparently Paul Ryan can't do the town halls. People don't like him so much. And of course, Tom Perez, as mentioned. And Scot Ross. Scot Ross is going to help us break this down. He tells us he's been doing these Supreme Court races since 2008. I don't even know if, Dom, you've been paying attention during the course of this show.
What day is it? Hey, Crudy, I have been paying attention.
The day after the party, Dom.
This victory by Rebecca Dallet for Wisconsin Supreme Court has made national news. We've seen it all over the place. But here's one of my most favorite headlines. Liberal Rebecca Dallet wallops conservative opponent in Wisconsin Supreme Court race. I like a good walloping headline.
And don't forget, Scott Walker, also by virtue of his support for the candidate, got his ass kicked as well.
Zahur.
We're the Devil's Advocates, kicking ass every day on your radio dial. 1510 right here in Milwaukee, 1580 in the Madison area. Come back, Scot Ross, Executive Director, One Wisconsin Now. The happy hour, it starts right now.
I was on Zero Res Madison's Facebook page the other day, and they have almost 2,000 testimonials from local customers. Apparently, I am not the only one stoked on how cool this company is. A green technology that actually works better and doesn't cost more, it's a no-brainer, I'm in. We are starting our own Devil's Advocates revolution to free your carpets from harsh chemicals and soaps. Call Zero Res today and ask for the Dom and Crude special 608-848-9000 or schedule online at ZeroResMadison.com. Zero Res, spell it forward or backward, it's the right way to clean.
Hey folks, sexy liberal Stephanie Miller here. Most new Wisconsin jobs are in Dane County, it's true. Some of my listeners are relocating to Madison. Many already commute there. When asked where to turn for a trusted real estate team that understands Madison, I say the same thing. Solidarity Realty. They help you through the process and protect your consumer rights. They live their values, building community, promoting sustainability and diversity. Find them today at solidarityrealty.com and tell them Stephanie Miller sent you.
Everybody buckle up. Mom. Buckle up.
Let's go.
Buckle up.
Can we go to the store? Mom,
buckle
can we get some ice cream?
Everybody, buckle up.
A lot goes on in the car, but you're in control. So only move when you hear the click that says they're buckled in. Never give up until they buckle up. Learn more at safercar.gov/kidsbuckleup. A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Tune in to The Resistance, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio. Start your weekday off with the Earl Ingram Show from 7 to 9 a.m. Next is the Stephanie Miller Show from 9 to 11. Then from 11 to 2, it's the Tom Hartman Program. At 2 o'clock, it's 414 Wisconsin. Then from 3 to 6, it's the Devil's Advocates. Mandatory listening, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio.
You are listening to 1510 AM WRRD Waukesha, Milwaukee, and 1580 AM WTTN Columbus.
Beefing up the border, path of a civil rights icon. I'm Barbara Cusack. The Trump administration is moving on a plan to send National Guard forces to patrol along the southern border in an effort to shut down illegal immigration.
Right now, the plan is to do what President Trump's two immediate predecessors did at one point, send National Guard forces as extra eyes on the southern border, but not armed or engaging in arrests. Homeland Security Secretary Kirstjen Nielsen.
We do hope the deployment begins immediately. I will be continuing to have conversations with the governors. As you know, it's done through a memorandum of agreement.
There's no word on how many troops will be needed. The president has been tweeting and speaking repeatedly in recent days about the need for Congress to pass tough new immigration laws. Bob Costantini, Washington.
The U.S. ambassador weighed in on Syria at the UN Security Council the day after President Trump said he wanted to get the U.S. out of that country.
While President Trump was talking about Syria in terms of the fight against the remnants of ISIS, Ambassador Nikki Haley addressed the UN on the Assad regime's use of chemical weapons.
While we sit here debating chemical weapons, there are people on the front lines in Syria who are facing the terrifying reality of those heinous weapons.
She didn't talk about the U.S. pulling out of Syria. Steve Kastenbaum, New York.
As we mark the 50th anniversary of the assassination of Martin Luther King Jr., one of his children, Reverend Bernice King, said if her father was still alive, he would be ready to help movements like the student-led March for Our Lives.
Revolution for Dr. King was when you saw changes in systems and people, and these movements now are beginning to cause conversations and dialogue that have been needed through the years.
Stocks rallied to finish higher, overcoming worries about an escalating trade dispute between the U.S. and China. After plunging 501 points at today's open, the Dow advanced 231 points, the S&P up by 30, the Nasdaq rose 101. I'm Barbara Cusack.
Crazy e-bike Lenny, where you been? We've been missing your nonsense on this radio station.
Come on, Trump is all the nonsense you need. But Crazy Lenny's e-bikes has some real sense. 2017 top-of-the-line cold standard 60-mile range e-bikes, liquidation price to $900. 60 miles with both pedal and throttle assist. A $2,000 e-bike for $900. This bike is great.
That's crazy.
And it's not fake news.
Go see my friend Lenny, 6017 Odana Road, Madison. Tell him the Devil's Advocate sent you.
Steven.
Who said that?
Me, down here.
Ugh, what are you, a yellow booger?
I'm a banana slug, Steven.
What are you doing in my room?
I'm your sense of adventure. It's been a long time since we've had an adventure in the forest.
Mom took me to the forest last year.
I'm a slug, Steven. It took me a long time to get here.
You're right. I should get out.
Yeah, the forest is not that far away.
Hey, Mom!
Come to the forest where the more adventurous you lives. Check out discovertheforest.org for cool places nearby. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
There's a fascinating new discovery about what makes up the center of our universe.
Astronomers say that the center of the Milky Way is filled with black holes, possibly thousands of them, confirming a long-held belief. A black hole is a giant collapsed star where the gravity is so strong that even light is not able to get out. However, until now, astronomers had not seen evidence of them at the center of the Milky Way. X-ray observations found signs of at least a dozen black holes in the Milky Way's core, and scientists believe there are many more. In the rest of the massive Milky Way, scientists have spotted about 6 black holes. The study is in Wednesday's journal Nature. I'm John Stolnis.
The names of Hockey Hall of Famers like Gordie Howe, Bobby Hull, and Maurice Rocket Richard will soon be removed from the Stanley Cup to make room for the next generation of champions. When a new layer is added to the 126-year-old trophy, the championship teams from 1954 to 65 will need to be removed to keep the trophy from becoming too big. I'm Barbara Cusack.
Tweens have mastered the art of tuning out. Jen, there's a spider in the car. We're turning your room into a home gym. See? Nothing. But some messages need to get through. Like making sure they're buckled up the whole ride, every time. Do whatever it takes to make your child listen. Jen, I friended your boyfriend.
Wait, what?
Buckle up, sweetie.
Never give up until they buckle up. Learn more at safercar.gov/kidsbuckleup. A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
It's a lot easier to measure how many times students use a semicolon correctly in an essay.
Educated educators talking education.
Than it is to measure how many wonderful ideas are in that essay.
Busted Pencils.
There is no teacher shortage.
With Dr. Tim Slecker.
There is a teacher exit.
Featuring Matt Damon's mom.
You want to know what my mom would say?
We've had an intrusion into education.
Busted Pencils Radio. Saturdays at 11 on Resistance Radio.
Wisconsin's Resistance Radio Network, I'm Stu Daniels with your headlines. Superintendent Darian Driver is leaving Milwaukee Public Schools for a position with United Way in southeastern Michigan. Wisconsin voters decided to keep the 170-year-old office of the state treasurer by a wide margin in yesterday's election. And Milwaukee County Executive Chris Abele spent over $500,000 to influence the election yesterday. Despite that, County Board Chairman Theodore Lipscomb won re-election, but Abele's money did help to defeat two other county supervisors. Variable cloudiness in the forecast for today, and then partly cloudy and cold tonight, lows tonight in the upper teens. Mostly cloudy tomorrow, highs in the upper 30s. For Friday, mostly cloudy and windy with highs in the low 30s. I'm Stu Daniels for Wisconsin's Resistance Radio Network.
The following program is a presentation of DC Communications, LLC. Warning, you are about to listen to the greatest radio show ever. And due to contractual obligations and to shield our airwaves' corporate licensees from any semblance of liability, responsibility, and gullibility, we must tell you the views represented on this show are not necessarily those of this station or its management. This radio show contains differing points of view on current political topics, and due to the nature of its contents, it should be heard by everyone. Thank you for listening.
3, 2, 1.
Now live from the heart of liberal Wisconsin, where the political party is just beginning, welcome to the Devil's Advocate Show. Best friends proving it's never personal, only politics.
Please allow me to introduce myself.
Now here are your hosts, Dom and Crute.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show. Dominic sliding into the 5 o'clock happy hour, joined right now by a friendly guest. He is Scot Ross, Executive Director, One Wisconsin Now, squeezing us in between the big national media hits. Scott, we appreciate you doing so. Let's talk Wisconsin Supreme Court elections. I don't know what you were doing last night, but Dom and I were partying to the wee hours. It felt really good.
Nice. And I was hunched over a computer looking at different numbers and spreadsheets and trying to figure out how big the victory was going to be and when it could be called. And that was an impressive performance by Rebecca Dallet last night. I mean, yeah. I know you've had other guests on talking about the race. I mean, she just shattered previous open seat efforts by progressives. I mean, it was just the blue wave is real and it is here.
Now, I've got to ask you about the total vote count. My understanding, somewhere in the neighborhood of 550,000 votes for now Justice Dallet, about 100,000 less-ish for Scrinnock. How does that compare historically with other Supreme Court races? Total voter turnout, if you know, sir.
It's voter turnout was up for sure. I don't have in front of me exactly because some of the there have been different sort of circumstances for different races. This was a higher turnout race with nothing else going on the ballot than we've seen in a long time. I think a couple of interesting numbers that I saw, and this is I think forebodes poorly for statewide elected Republicans on the ballot in 2018, is the fact that here in Dane County, where I am currently calling you from, we actually eclipse the amount of voting of our larger brothers and sisters to the east in Milwaukee. There were 133,000 people who voted in Dane County last night and 130,000 in Milwaukee.
Wow.
And actually, there were 20,000. Yeah, there was 107,000 people voted in Dane County for Rebecca Dallet and 80,000 plus 85,000 in Milwaukee County. So there were more votes for Rebecca Dallet here in Dane County than there were in Milwaukee County. She got 81% here. That was 11 points better than Hillary Clinton did in 2016.
Folks, you're listening to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show on Wisconsin's Resistance Radio Network, covering Milwaukee with 1510 a.m. and Columbus, Madison with 1580 a.m. You know, we also are claiming a modest victory of sorts today. But got to ask you, Scott, can we cast this election forward? This was supposed to be a nonpartisan judicial race. I mean, Scott Walker, the fall gubernatorial election, we're going to have to get more like triple this many votes to beat Scott Walker, don't you think, Scott?
Yeah, no, you will need more votes than were out last night in terms of and to be able to get it. But I think there's a couple things in favor for progressives and Democrats. You know, Scott Walker's not going to suddenly, Scott Walker's record is suddenly not going to go away, and Donald Trump is not going to stop doing what he's doing. And Democrats, on top of it, are doing a hell of a job of recruiting candidates. I mean, Rebecca Dallet was a great example. Like, this is I'd like to say, the first time a Gen Xer was at the top of the ticket for Democrats or progressives, the Gen Xer won, which is kind of nice.
Yeah.
The fact, Democrats are running to the polls, and let's just say this, the other point. We always hear, we heard nonstop in 2016 about the Republicans' vaunted field program. They dumped $400,000 of field into Skrenik, and I think they came up the other end of the ace on that. So they got real problems. But it's going to be up to Democrats to get out there and vote in the fall if they expect to, get rid of a guy like Scott Walker. I mean, he's been around 25 years. There's no better politician in the state of Wisconsin.
Scot Ross, Executive Director, One Wisconsin Now, joins us on the phone. Scott, what was your takeaway on the money? A lot of money spent for Skrenik. What were the final tallies? What's your opinion?
Yeah, $2.8 million for Skrenik. That was $1.6 million from WMC. $1 million from Skrenik, which included over $400,000 from the Republican Party, $75,000 for the Wisconsin Alliance of Reform, about $50,000 from the National Rifle Association. So $2.8 million was spent. I don't have the comparatives on the other side, but it is very clear that despite all that spending and despite those despicable ads that WMC was running all over the state of Wisconsin, ads that the family begged them to take down, Skrenik, lost 56-44, 12 points he lost by. I would say this too, in the Madison market, in the Madison media market where those ads were showing, 81% again. Just a stomping, so in a real rejection of the kind of sleaze that WMC has put out there. So, I think good news all around, not just for the state of Wisconsin in terms of, our representation on the Supreme Court, but also just in terms of our mojo and saying no to that kind of garbage ad like WMC put out.
Scott, when we spoke last, WMC had removed a page from their website, their executive director board's page with all the names and companies. Any update on this issue with WMC? Again, running an ad, the families asked to take down, re-victimizing these children of sexual assault. Any apologies? Have you gotten any updates, or do you know anything on that front, Scott?
Absolutely nothing, and we are not going to let this one go because, they committed a wrong, and they need to be punished for it. They need to apologize, and they need to make sure that it never happens again. And so far, they've done neither, so we're going to make sure they get held accountable.
Hey, Scot Ross, your buddy and mine, Scotty Walker, up late tweeting last night, bemoaning the fact that perhaps a blue wave afoot. Now, Dom pointed out earlier in the show, do you think that's the right tact? I mean, he brings more focus on the fact that he's being repudiated in every election in the state of Wisconsin. Do you think it's a good tact to bemoan the blue wave a-comin'?
No, I think he literally made blue wave trending last night on Twitter as a result of that. And, I guess now we know, no wonder why he didn't want to have those special elections because, Columbia County, where most of the Assembly District 42 is, went for Dallet by 12 points. Senate District 1 went hard for Dallet. It's going to be an interesting next couple of weeks. That's to say the word.
Scott, do you think it was more the candidate, or do you think it's more the time in history that propelled this massive victory for Dallet last night?
I'd say two things. One is progressives had a great candidate in a great year, and conservatives have a lousy candidate and a lousy year. So I think it's a combination of both. Dallet was a great candidate. Skrenik was a bad candidate, and the atmosphere is terrible for Republicans and very good for progressives right now.
Scott, not that we want anyone to turn off the Wisconsin Resistance Radio Network, but where are you appearing next? You obviously have a TV hit to get to.
Just about. I do a show every other week on Channel 15 in Madison here, and so I'll be hitting that in about 4 minutes.
We'll let you do so. Our friend Scot Ross, Executive Director, One Wisconsin Now, wasn't partying with us last night, but perhaps festive, lonely at his home, looking at the numbers. Scott, we appreciate you doing so we could nurse our hangovers today.
All right, you take it easy, guys.
All right, thank you, Scott.
Thank you. Scot Ross, our friend. We are the Devil's Advocates. Haven't made time for our audience. Let's do so now. Earl coming in, Earl Ingram Jr., WRD's own morning host right here, 7 to 9 a.m. If you're not listening, you should give him a listen. He plays across the Wisconsin Resistance Radio Network. He's helping to drive the blue wave, 1510 a.m., Waukesha, Milwaukee, 1580 Columbus, Madison. More Devil's Advocates on the other side.
Do you own a rental property, or would you like to partner with a rental investment team? Call the pros you can trust at CCL Management. Rental expertise second to none, a general contractor on staff to direct repairs and improvements, and real estate brokerage services tailored to the small investor. If you're ready to invest in rental property or just need professionals to manage your real estate portfolio, call us, CCL Management, at 608-833-0009 or visit us on the web at cclmanagement.com.
Do you love public education? Do you want to support your schools? Then you should support the people who make them work. You should support teachers and their unions. Teachers' working conditions are students' learning conditions, and when the school bell rings, it is crucial that teachers do not check their rights at the door. The ability to organize and advocate around issues that improve the quality of a teacher's workplace will increase opportunities for students and make schools safer for everyone. Stand with teachers, stand with WEAC Region 7.
Have a drink at Regano's Roman Coin. This neighborhood corner tavern is as classic as the street it occupies. Family owned and operated since 1966, Regano's Roman Coin is located in a former Pabst Tide House on historic Brady Street, serving an array of craft beers with a focus on Wisconsin breweries. Also, weekly drink specials, trivia on Wednesdays, seasonal sporting events, parties hosted for all occasions, and pet friendly. Open 11 a.m. Tuesday through Friday, 10 a.m. Saturday and Sunday, closed on Monday. Regano's Roman Coin, Milwaukee's pet friendly, cash only order and classic corner tavern.
Hey everybody, I'm Daryl Ingram of News Talk 1510 WRRD, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio, and I am the Director of Advertising and Marketing. The pride of our independent stands runs deep in all that we do here at the station. The thing that I know for sure is that you can count on the quality and independent production of client advertising, mirroring the quality and independence of our fine programming here at News Talk 1510. To learn more, contact me at 414-335-0851 or via email at daryl@newstalk1510am.com.
I'm afraid right now for the future of my children's generation and those to come.
In this age of mass school shootings, Wisconsin Governor Scott Walker offers the same bold agenda of the National Rifle Association.
Make sure you remember in your thoughts and more importantly in your prayers.
While Walker offers platitudes, he blocks meaningful gun safety legislation.
It's really an honor to work with the NRA not only in my state but across the country. And I'm proud of my A+ ranking as a governor.
Walker weakened the gun laws in Wisconsin, and then he got $3.5 million worth of NRA support.
There have been men and women of courage who've been willing to stand up and think more about the future of their children and their grandchildren than they thought about their own futures.
Scott Walker, you are not one of them. This message was paid for by the People for People Corporation. Donate online at p4ppc.org, p4ppc.org.
Hello, I'm State Senator LaTanya Johnson. Making sure Wisconsin residents continue to have equal and fair access to voting is very important to me. Here are some key things you should know. Wisconsin requires a photo ID, and chances are you already have what you need to vote. A Wisconsin DMV issued driver's license. You can use this even if it's revoked or suspended. A Wisconsin DMV issued identification card. A military ID issued by the U.S. Uniformed Services, or a U.S. passport book or card. You can use these items even if they're expired, as long as the expiration date is after the most recent general election held on November 8th, 2016. For more information about registering to vote, please visit myvote.wi.gov or call the Wisconsin Election Commission Help Desk at 608-261-2028. We won't be taken for granted.
This message was brought to you by WRRD 1510 AM.
The Devil's Advocates, making radio great again.
And we are back. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show on Wisconsin's Resistance Radio Network. You can join us on the phones or you can text out 844-967-2789.
Dominic, the first of what I hope is many blue victory parties this year.
I don't know if I can handle too many like that, Gertie.
Man, I would party like that every night.
If it was your job.
For the blue cause.
See, you're just a giver.
I am. I give and give. I give all my partying to the people of Wisconsin. If we were not the ones to go party at the Dallet party, who else would it have been? All those other fine journalists? They were trying to be journalistic-y.
They were working.
We were the only ones interviewing the new Supreme Court Justice with beers in our hand. I feel quite confident about that.
Yeah.
If you have not heard the exclusive Devil's Advocates, we posted it on the Facebook page. We also gave our unique brand of live commentary on the Facebook live stream last night and also played out the Dallet victory speech. Sounds good to say that.
Yes, it does.
You can also find that on our Facebook page. That has been, I guess, sort of the big story of the day. Also, there is the current dumbass, Adamczyk. Sorry, I didn't mean to mispronounce your name.
Resign your post, sir.
The current Wisconsin state treasurer who seemingly doesn't mind taking the taxpayers' money and not doing his job. In fact, advocated for the elimination of his job will make it easy on the taxpayers. Quit, sir.
All you have to do is turn around and walk out the door. But I assume maybe you're just not working very much anyway, so just don't even bother.
And we spoke with Tom Perez. He is the chair of the Democratic National Committee. Not for the first time this week, Dom. Even Tom wanted to come back and spread a little love on the show. About 9 o'clock last night, the DNC is reaching out to me saying, hey, got any room for Tom Perez? Let's not forget that race called at 8:57 p.m. I said, we could probably work our friend Badger Tom Perez into the show as long as he can work a little DNC into Milwaukee, hashtag DNC MKE 2020.
Always got time for a little love and happiness on
Every
the show.
time he comes on our show, we get to lobby him for a DNC because talking about being the center of the political party universe, Dom.
Oh, that would be so fantastic.
And basically that timing, end of July, that would thrust the DNC right in the midst of Brady Street Festival.
No, the summer festivals here in Wisconsin. It is a wonderful time. No better
You would
place
suck
on
it
this
up.
earth than Wisconsin, Milwaukee in the summer.
You would suck it up and party every night at the DNC in Milwaukee, would you not?
I would do whatever it took.
We would do 24/7 coverage. We would have, Garcon, we'd have him bringing us drinks right on the air. We'd work it out, Dom. They'd have beer at the what? New Bucks Arena. That needs to be the host venue for the next DNC.
Well, that's
Dom.
very cool that we have the new Bucks Arena. That would be the venue for the DNC MKE 2020, Curdy. But of course, we have a fine studio right here on Brady Street, not far from where Perez himself used to pound around down here.
Well, we could have the future president of the United States, be it Hillary Clinton, doubtful. I don't see her running again. Or Elizabeth Warren. I'd be very excited to host Senator Warren down here. Nominee Warren, perhaps Bernie Sanders. I mean, there's lots of people I would get a little gleam in my eye hosting. Because whoever the next Dem that comes in this studio as the nominee on behalf of the Democratic Party in 2020 and our big party here in Milwaukee, well, that person, Dom, probably the eventual president of the United States. Because there's no way in hell that this country will re-elect Donald Trump. That's my prediction. Nor... One more.
All right, go ahead.
Nor will the state of Wisconsin re-elect Scott Walker. And that was the other thing, Dom. This party last night, there were a few good Milwaukee-based gubernatorial Dems that wanted to be at the victory party. Lots of media there, lots of friends, friendly media sorts like Dom and Crudy drinking in the back. Saw Andy Gronick. Saw Matt Flynn. They're both local boys. Saw a few lieutenant gubernatorial candidates. Kurt Kober. Saw Mandela Barnes. And they all were looking very happy because, they're scheming in their own heads. And they're thinking, this blue wave is going to thrust a Democrat into the governor's mansion. And if I can only win the primary, well, then that Democrat could be me. But to win that primary, these Democrats, and that's the big question, who will be the winner of the Democratic field? How do we whittle it down? I mean, I've got people reaching out to me right now via email saying, come on, guys, do your part. I'm thinking, what part is that?
Right.
Whittle down the field so we can concentrate on, a smaller handful of candidates. And I'm thinking they got to do that themselves. I think we're going to see the fundraising totals in the next couple days. And we're going to know whose candidacy has no legitimacy, who's out of gas in the tank. We'll see a natural whittling process. We're not going to put our thumbs on the scale. At least not yet.
Not yet, right.
I reserve the right to do whatever the hell I want to do.
At any time you want to.
Eventually, I will do something completely outrageous, and you'll all either embrace it or be upset by it. I feel quite confident.
Just keep your pants on, man.
You gave away my plan.
No guarantees.
Who also made it to the party last night, although a little later than the rest? Earl Ingram Jr.
Yeah.
He's going to be our guest. He's coming in studio here in a few minutes. Hopefully he's listening out there in the lobby. But Earl showed up wiping the sleep out of his eyes. Mama had to wake him up and tell him that Dallet had won. He's a morning host. He goes to bed a little earlier. But I'm like, man, it's 8:57 p.m.
Oh.
What do you mean Mama had to wake you up to tell you that Dallet had won the Supreme Court race?
He gets up early. I totally get that, man. If I'm on a good schedule, up and working out at 5:30 in the morning, but if I go home and sit on the couch after dinner at 8 or 9 o'clock, I'll doze off. It just happens.
Currently, as an AM daytime radio station, there is never a good reason to get up before the sun.
Yeah.
Until the station comes on the air, why would I get up?
You work out once in a while, man. You got a lot of living to do yet.
Well, I love the way the new FM construction permit is written. It says unlimited operation. Can't wait till we're partying 24/7.
Folks, we are the Devil's Advocates. Got to get a headline out before our pal Earl Ingram Jr. comes in studio to discuss and celebrate the life of Martin Luther King Jr. But here from CNN, in the meantime, Crudy exclusive, Mueller's team questioning Russian oligarchs. Special Counsel Mueller's team has taken the unusual step of questioning Russian oligarchs who traveled into the U.S., stopping at least one and searching his electronic devices when his private jet landed at a New York area airport, according to multiple sources familiar with the inquiry. A second Russian oligarch was stopped during a recent trip to the U.S., although it is not clear if he was searched, according to a person briefed on the matter.
You know what they're looking for, Dom? Campaign contributions to Trump from foreign Russian oligarchs.
Is that not okay to do?
My understanding is no. That would not be okay to do.
One theory Mueller's office is pursuing, sources said, is whether wealthy Russians used straw donors, Americans with citizenship, as a vessel through which they could pump money into the campaign and inauguration fund.
Are we sure they just didn't overpay for some condos somewhere at a Trump development?
Investments also perhaps made in companies or think tanks that have political action committees that donated to the campaign. I don't know, perhaps like the NRA?
I think we got to get the money out of politics, or at least we got to get the Russian money out of politics.
Right. That's already not supposed to be there.
You know what? And damn near every time any of these stories break, you got to think, how is Scott Walker attached? How is he connected? Be it the Russian NRA, be it the money that funded Fusion GPS, that was Paul Singer, that was Scott Walker. Whether Cambridge Analytica got its entire staff and perhaps even its data from the Scott Walker presidential campaign. I wonder if his name will come up in the Mueller probe. I wonder if his BlackBerry gets searched. More Devil's Advocates. We'll be right back. Earl Ingram Jr. partying the night away.
In this hot real estate market, don't pay 5 or 6% commission. With Homeowners Concept Realtors, you pay no more than 3.9% for full service. Homeowners Homeowners Concept Realtors sell many more homes per year than the average agent. That's experience you can count on. If you're thinking of selling, call 414-258-7778 for an agent that specializes in your area for ideas on price, marketing, and staging your home. The more you know, you'll wisely choose Homeowners Concept 3.9% Realtors. HomeownersConcept.com.
Man, do I love card night. You ready, boys? You got a king?
Go, fish dad!
Oh, come on. This is WWE superstar Titus O'Neil. It only takes a moment to make a moment. Take time to be a dad today. Learn more at 877-4DAD-411 or visit fatherhood.gov.
Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
You are listening to Wisconsin's Resistance Radio Network. Believe me, there is no collusion. Believe me.
Hi, this is Brad Saug, owner of Zero Res Madison Carpet Cleaning. Zero Res is the best new technology in carpet cleaning. We have a patented process using empowered water, a high-tech process in which we force the water to act like soap. It doesn't want to stay in that state. It's jacked up and it's angry and it wants to hit the dirt and then it neutralizes. When we're done, all that's left in your carpet is just light moisture. In the end, you get the cleanest, greenest, healthiest carpet cleaning available. Call us at 848-9000. Zero Res. Spell it backward or forward. It's the right way to clean.
Hi, I'm Anton Capella. As Chief Technology Officer at Five Nines, I work hard to be a leader in my industry, and I know the challenges posed by changing technology. It's my priority to make sure your network is up over 99% of the time. There's no question, trying to manage your own business IT is risky, costly, and time-consuming. Don't let IT overwhelm you. Learn more about Five Nines at fivenines.com. That's the number 5, NINES.com.
In the wake of a disaster, what one thing can you send that will help people the most? A blanket, a tent, a sandbag, a doctor. Actually, if you send a monetary donation, you send all these things. Even a small donation can make a big impact and can quickly become exactly what people affected by disaster need most.
In the wake of a hurricane, your monetary donation can make a huge difference to those in need. To donate, visit supporthurricanerelief.org. That's supporthurricanerelief.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
The Devil's Advocates.
Major Wisconsin media, they have wrapped our state in a propaganda machine. They push the Wisconsin Walker agenda. That's what is happening. So we have to break that. And it's going to be a lot of work, but thank God we have 1510 there to help.
Jake, thank you so much. It's going to take more than just 1510. It's going to take people like you and all you listeners.
Making radio great again.
For Wisconsin's Resistance Radio Network, I'm Stu Daniels with your headlines. Milwaukee County Circuit Judge Rebecca Dallet defeated Sauk County Circuit Judge Michael Skrenick yesterday, 56% to 44%, for a seat on the Wisconsin Supreme Court. It is the first time in 23 years that a candidate backed by Democrats won an open seat on the state's highest court. If you ever hear anyone say that their vote doesn't count, tell them that there was a tie for alderman yesterday in St. Francis. Both candidates for the 1st District seat received 253 votes. A winner will now be decided by random choice. And the Bucks beat the Celtics last night 106-102. I'm Stu Daniels for Wisconsin's Resistance Radio Network.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show. It is the happy hour, the day after the late night party hangover happy hour, and we've got a fine guest who's joined us live in studio. WRRD WTTN's own Earl Ingram Jr. does the morning show here, 7 to 9 a.m. You should give him a listen. I recommend 5 days a week. And then Saturdays, Earl goes often into the community. On Saturdays, does a 12 to 3 show.
So
Man,
6 days a week.
The hardest working broadcaster No wonder why Mama had to wake you up to tell you that Dallet had won the race last night, Earl.
I got to watch what I tell you, man.
Well, it was obvious you were still wiping the sleep out of your eyes.
Hey, man, I'm a fine guest. I like that.
Yes, you are. Thanks for coming in, man.
A lot of energy for a senior citizen.
Who's a senior citizen, man?
Don't listen to him. All right, but I did. It was great seeing you last night, and we're going to talk about lots of things here today in the last half of this hour. But I wanted to get your reaction to the Dallet victory last night. You walked into the party. We saw you. We hung out. What'd you think? What's your thought?
Man, I had to see it to believe it because I've gotten excited before. I forgot who it was that ran against the Rebecca
Bradley. I believe it was Kloppenberg again.
Yes.
Second time around, she, of course, lost to both Prosser and also Bradley.
And there was talk
the
at
bad
the time
Bradley
that she had a chance, that Kloppenberg had a chance to win, got all excited, and then she got destroyed. So I was tempering it, even though it appeared as if she was going to win. Dallet.
I was in the room that night with Kloppenberg. That was nothing like the party in Milwaukee last night, Earl.
Well, no, man. No, what I'm saying is, prior to the election, as it was building up, you were building up hope that maybe Kloppenberg could win, that she could defeat Bradley. And then in the end, you got the same thing you had been getting over the last 8 years, Republicans winning. So I tempered my thought about whether or not Dallet could win based on what had happened historically over the last 8 or so years where Republicans control it all. So really excited and happy to see, and maybe this is that watershed moment where it all turns right now.
Well, Earl, I don't know if anyone's going to give this Wisconsin Resistance Radio Network any credit except for ourselves.
Yes.
But turnout in Milwaukee County was very strong. Turnout in my home county of Dane, outstanding, through the roof. 81% turnout, 81% voted, I should say, for Dallet of those that turned out. But big turnout numbers. Earl, I got to ask you, African Americans, you obviously have a lot of connections in the African American community here in Milwaukee. Do you think that African Americans got themselves involved? Did they get out and vote in this race yesterday, Earl, to your audience, to your experience?
Well, clearly, it's hard to get African Americans in the community to understand the connection between a Supreme Court justice and the realities of what they face on a daily basis. That's just the reality of what we're faced with. But I can say that some of that is starting to change, to educate people to understand that your reality is not going to change if you don't vote. It doesn't guarantee that if you do vote, that all of a sudden your life is going to change, as many thought when Obama became president. But to get people to understand that incrementally how important the Supreme Court seat is long term as far as issues that impact our community. So, make a long story short, I think we're slowly starting to get people to understand if you don't come out and vote, nothing's going to change. And what I would say to my community, as I say to all, is that just because you set somebody to office, if you don't monitor what they do, you've done nothing more than waste your time.
Inspect what you expect.
Right.
Okay, Earl, so we had this election that happened last night, and it went very blue, and I'm very happy about that. More importantly, we've got elections in the fall, and traditionally Republicans do very well in these sort of off elections, these spring elections and special elections, and they've always had a tool to get out the vote. They've always had right-wing talk radio. Here in Milwaukee, this is one of the greatest or worse, depending on your perspective, right-wing talk radio markets in America, between Heartless Radio and I'm For Sale, Down the Road Radio. I mean, there's two outlets that are telling people, get out the vote. Hell, we don't need a treasurer. Give this gun-loving NRA darling your vote. And even Scott Walker got involved in a judicial race in Waukesha County. Scott Walker was 0 for 3 last night. Right-wing talk radio did not get out the vote, people, and I know Trump factors in, but do you think left-wing talk radio, Earl Ingram Jr. talk radio, WRD, WTTN, do you think we factor in? Earl, we've been doing this for, a year and a couple months? I mean, we didn't exist in prior election cycles.
Crudy, the answer is yes, yes, and yes. This radio station,
did I throw in there, and am I super cool? Is that one of the yeses?
This radio station, and as I spoke with many of the political leaders in the community last night, look, man, this victory, you cannot overlook the fact of the power of the airwaves in this radio station that wasn't there the last time around. Asked many officials, Democrats who ran over the last several years, had they had an opportunity to have this kind of radio station behind them, whether or not they thought that it would help them in getting their messages out and getting them elected. For the longest, I've said this about the Democratic Party on the state level and the national level, to the degree of nauseam and upsetting them. Conservatives knew the importance of talk radio. It's what catapulted them to controlling everything. They've known that. How come the Democrats don't seem to understand that? I don't get that. And you know what? As the elections move forward, they're going to realize just how important this is. Because if they're not given an opportunity to come in and have their voices heard, especially with the addition of 1580 WTTN and the FMs that are coming, people who normally may not know who they are get an opportunity to hear them. And I know, especially on my show, I don't believe in 15-minute snippets. So when I hear people say, nobody knows who these gubernatorial candidates are, I say, well, on my show, you get a chance to hear who they are. Because that's the purpose of me giving them that time, is that they're not getting that anywhere. When they go to the candidates forum, what are they getting, 10 minutes?
Maybe if you divided it up.
So clearly they know. They know. But they've got to act like it's important enough to them that they make sure that the radio station remains solvent.
They need friends like you, don't they, Earl?
And this radio station, man.
It's our friend Earl Ingram Jr. He is the kingmaker of Milwaukee. He's joined us live on Brady Street.
Well, to your point, Earl, just look at today's lineup. Jessica Lovejoy, the campaign manager for Dallet. Martha Lenny, chair, Wisconsin Democratic Party. Congressman Mark Polkamp. Tom Perez, chair of the DNC. And our buddy Scot Ross. And, of course, you coming in. Where would these people have gone 2 years ago?
Well, maybe they could go to what do you call it? Internet radio?
Do some podcasts.
I'm not, being critical of internet radio or those kinds of things. But
we also live stream at Newstalk 1510 AM and DominiCroot.com.
I guess, but what I'm saying is that was the only outlet. Terrestrial radio was not an option, and terrestrial radio reaches enormous legions of people. And I think people just don't, we've got to get to a point when people know exactly what our numbers are. I am excited about what I hear in our community about people who are listening to the radio, and especially 1510 AM WRRD.
Earl, I'll give you a number. Dom and Croot, the Devil's Advocates Facebook page, 125,000 engagements last month. Rebecca Dallet got about 550,000 votes. I'm taking credit for 1 out of every 4. Come back with us, our good buddy, the elder statesman of Wisconsin's Resistance Radio. Stu's getting older every day, though, I hear.
Happy birthday, Stu.
Undercover brother Stu. It's his birthday. Happy birthday, Stu. Come back with our friend Earl Ingram Jr., the Devil's Advocate's going to talk a little MLK Jr. Today, the anniversary of his assassination. Our earlier guest, Tom Perez, called us live from Memphis. We're going to talk about that with Earl Ingram Jr., WRD, WTTN Zone. Come back with us, more Devil's Advocates.
Scott Walker thinks Wisconsin should once again hire him as governor.
You wouldn't hire me to be a neurosurgeon.
This is a person who has not worked in the private sector since 1993.
You wouldn't hire me to run condos. You wouldn't hire me to run HP.
And has made his political career.
You probably wouldn't hire me to run the United States Senate.
By using divisive tactics to the benefit of his corporate donors.
First step is we're going to deal with collective bargaining for all public employee unions. Because you divide and conquer.
Now he supports the largest publicly funded government subsidy of a foreign corporation in American history.
You know, they can go suck lemons.
And Scott Walker has yet to live up to his first campaign promise to create 250,000 jobs.
Is this a campaign promise, something you want to be held to?
Absolutely.
Scott Walker, we the people are done sucking your lemons. This message was paid for by the People for People Corporation. Donate online at p4ppc.org, p4ppc.org.
Hey folks, sexy liberal Stephanie Miller here. Most new Wisconsin jobs are in Dane County, it's true. Some of my listeners are relocating to Madison. Many already commute there. When asked where to turn for a trusted real estate team that understands Madison, I say the same thing. Solidarity Realty. They help you through the process and protect your consumer rights. They live their values, building community, promoting sustainability and diversity. Find them today at solidarityrealty.com and tell them Stephanie Miller sent you.
The Resistance is live 7 days a week here on 1510 AM WRRD, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio. Tune in Sundays for Meet the Press with Chuck Todd from 11 a.m. to noon. Then it's the Jeff Santos Show, kicking ass for the middle class from 12 to 3 p.m. And Citizen Action's Battleground Wisconsin rages from 3 to 4 p.m. Get your groove on with Stu Man PM, politics and music, 4 to 6 p.m. with Stu Daniels. Always streaming at newstalk1510am.com, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio.
Matt Rothschild here from the Wisconsin Democracy Campaign. I love being on Resistance Radio because I get to tell you who's throwing money around in the state capitol. It's disgusting. Wisconsin's not open for business. It's open for bribery. And Walker, Fitzgerald, and Voss have turned the Capitol into an ATM for their corporate cronies. At the Wisconsin Democracy Campaign, we blow the whistle on all of them. So please go to our website at wisdc.org, check out our latest stories, and send us a donation. We need a louder whistle.
Hi, I'm Crudy. I'm here with Bill Carroll, president of Teamsters Local 344. Bill, why are you union? Teamster strong.
Well, Crudy, our strength comes from our membership. The Teamsters are North America's strongest labor union with 1.4 million members.
Bill, what does the Teamsters do for the next generation?
The same thing that the Teamsters have done for the last 100 years. Assisting groups of workers in negotiating improvements in their wages, hours, and working conditions.
Where do people go if they want to know more about the Teamsters, more about joining the union?
There's three easy options. They can call Local 344 at 414-258-4545. They can contact us through our website. That's local344.org. Local, the number is 344.org. Or they can contact us through the Local 344 Facebook page.
Be union strong. Join Teamsters 344. Be like Crudy. Be like News Talk 1510 AM. Stand with the unions. Join the Teamsters. Local344.org.
Hello, it's me, the designer jeans in the back of your closet. What happened to us? I used to summer in the Hamptons, and now I'm stuck behind a pair of sweats. Okay, maybe I never really fit you right, but I got a lot more Sunday fun days left in me. So take me to Goodwill, where I can really make a difference.
Your donations to Goodwill create jobs, training programs, and education assistance for people in your community. To find your nearest donation center, go to goodwill.org. Donate stuff. Create jobs. A message from Goodwill and the Ad Council.
The Devil's Advocates, the fix for political junkies everywhere.
And we are back. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show. You can find podcasts and interviews of this fine product on the internet at domandcroot.com.
Dominic, we've got our fine WRRD, WTTN morning host, Earl Ingram Jr., live in our Brady Street studios. We'll get back to Earl momentarily. Peter sent me an email, though. He's checking in with Righty Whitey Talk Radio across town.
Yeah?
Over at the Heartless station, apparently belling, according to Pete's email, frothing at the mouth today on Supreme Court results. His take, the conservatives lost because they didn't listen to him.
Come on.
Well, I got Belling news for you, Belling. The conservatives lost probably accurately because they're no longer listening to you. They now listen to the greatest radio show ever, a superior Devil's Advocates product over any righty-whitey bloviators across town.
Hey, Earl, appreciate you coming in today, and I wanted to get your perspective. Of course, today, the 50th anniversary of the assassination of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., and certainly an African-American man, we all know this, but I thought of you because you're one of the guys that was alive back then and can remember what it was like and what the scene was. That in a lot of the internet publications today, publish like black and whites and older articles and kind of going over. And I perused some of this, and it really got me, man. I got to tell you, something of what could have been, And he was young. He was a young man when this happened.
39 years old.
And it seems, as a young white kid growing up in rural Wisconsin, and you read the history books, but you don't get it. You don't know it. And today it really hit me a little bit. 50 years, and he was so young. And I want to get your take, man. I mean, you were a young man back then. What was your reaction? How did it affect you?
It affected me so much that this morning I spent the entire 2 hours talking about the evolution of Dr. King from the I Have a Dream speech in 1963 to the Dr. King of 1968, where he had evolved to the degree that he was no longer talking about love your neighbor. And he was talking about the dream that became a nightmare, and he was very critical of the United States government in its role that it was playing in the Vietnam War and the money that was being spent on war as opposed to the money that could have been spent to make people's lives better. Dr. King was my idol and still is. I was 14 years old when Dr. King was assassinated, so I was old enough to have seen him and moving on the face of the earth and doing the things that he was doing. It was a magical time, man, as a young, impressionable person who lived in this city where during that point in my life, people of color couldn't live past 27th and Capitol.
That's terrible.
And so that was the reality that I faced. I went to an all-black grade school, everything, segregated neighborhood. And when busing came into existence is when I finally was able to move out beyond an all-black reality and then have an opportunity to see people other than myself. But what was so heartbreaking about Dr. King is that Dr. King, if you believe in morality, and there are people who do and people who don't, but Dr. King lived his life and put his life on the line for what he believed in. And I do a lot of the things that I do in our community. I do a lot of volunteering. I'm everywhere in my community. I didn't just start doing it. I've been doing that since I was a young person and emulated what I saw in Dr. King. The heart that I have is because of his heart and what I saw him do and the fight that he put up for people like me who he wanted to have a better life. I'm the person I am now without question because I had the opportunity as a very young person to feel his movement. Dr. King lives in me. You don't celebrate Dr. King with song and dance and as I always say, people once a year take their Dr. King stuff out of the closet. Like Christmas, you bring your Christmas tree out and your lights out, you dust them off and you put up the Christmas tree and you put the ornaments on it and, hey, it's Christmas. Day after Christmas, you put it back away for another. Well, that's what people do with Dr. King's memory. Once a year, oh, it's Dr. King Day. No, that's not honoring him and what he did for this country and that he didn't just do for people of color. He challenged the nation to be better. He challenged the nation to live up to its creed. I come in here every day, and I'm blessed to have the platform, but people hear me speaking with strength and challenging this nation. It is because I saw a man who challenged a nation to live up to the creed of what it professes to be.
Earl, are we seeing progress in Milwaukee? I mean, still one of the more segregated cities in the entire United States, north of the Mason-Dixon line.
The answer is no. We're not seeing progress almost anywhere in this nation when, again, 50 years later, I'm in a position to judge it for what it was and what it is now, and because I lived it. And I can absolutely tell you that now there has not been the progress necessary. When you hear statistics like you hear in Milwaukee, the worst place in the nation, that was not the case when I was a kid, but everybody knows what those statistics are. But that's not just Milwaukee. If there is a worse place, then there's some other places in between, and you take from 1 to 100, and in many of those instances, the same realities exist. I have to ask the questions, what happened? Because I felt comfortable that we started seeing some strides, and then all of a sudden the bottom fell out. And now people aren't talking about it anymore. People aren't organizing and challenging the nation to live up to the ideals of the nation, especially when it's related to people of color. And so I'm thankful to have this opportunity to be able to do that on this radio station.
Earl, there are radio stations in this town that often villainize people of color, make them the bad guys, correct, the heavies.
Correct.
We see the governance of Scott Walker, and we know the end results, at least for communities of color, is amongst the worst in the nation, as you noted. Earl, I think these things work in tandem. How do we change that? Is it simply electoral change? We go out and we vote the bums out of office. How do we change the perception that Milwaukee is the source of all things evil?
You can't change people's hearts. I've learned that over the years. Whatever's in a person's heart is there from the time, I believe, of their birth. But what there are is, and Dr. King used to always talk of the good people that do exist. There's always good people who know that what is going on is not right. They know it's wrong. And when you live in a nation where children don't have a fair opportunity at life, in a society that is the greatest on earth economically, and yet a society that goes all over the world fighting in wars to supposedly to make the other nations live up to our standards. Well, the other nations are saying, hey, we know you. We know what you've done to people of color. How dare you do the things you're doing now?
Earl Ingram Jr., the fine morning host right here on WRD, WTTN. Please tune him in, 7 to 9 a.m., 12 to 3 on Saturdays. Want to thank all our fine guests today. Jessica Lovejoy, campaign manager, Dallet for Justice. Martha Lanning, chair of the Wisconsin Democratic Party. Congressman Mark Pocan. Tom Perez, chair of the Democratic National Committee. Scot Ross, executive director, One Wisconsin Now. And, of course, Earl Ingram Jr. You got a big guest tomorrow morning. Who is it?
Tomorrow morning, Dr. Benjamin. He is going to, he's from right now here in Milwaukee, and he is going to be the head of the American Medical Association. He'll be here in the studio with me tomorrow at 8 o'clock, a black man. Really proud and excited about having him in the studio.
Earl, get a good night's sleep. Don't party too late. Next time we'll talk about your experiences cohabitating with the dinosaurs. Have a great night, everyone.
I was on Zero Res Madison's Facebook page the other day, and they have almost 2,000 testimonials from local customers. Apparently, I am not the only one stoked on how cool this company is. A green technology that actually works better and doesn't cost more. It's a no-brainer. I'm in. We are starting our own Devil's Advocates revolution to free your carpets from harsh chemicals and soaps. Call Zero Res today and ask for the Diamond Crude Special 608-84.